get us started. Oh, that's not what I want to tweet. I'm going to tweet the...
What'd you tweet?
I almost tweeted the edited version of the notes. That would have been hilarious. Would have been like...
a little sneak preview.
Right?
People could have changed it. Would have been like Will Ferrell and Anchorman, where I'm just reading whatever's written there.
I love for people to think that it's that scripted.
Oh, man. All right. Retweet if you can.
You put me in the box and make me look really short. You know what I mean? I just moved my monitor down because it was
the top of your head is in the middle. The top of your head is in the middle. Yeah.
It was kind of like it's kind of like the Blevins on High Noon podcast. He was always like this on his camera and had his arms like this. And so I always thought he was short. Then we meet him at BlizzCon, and he's towering over me, and I'm 6'2". I'm not a short guy. He's towering over me, and I'm just like, read that wrong. Read that real wrong. But I guess he had a weird desk that sat higher than his chair. So it's pretty funny.
Bad for your posture.
All right.
Are you not going to move my camera?
Oh, do you really want me to?
I might have. But if you want to move me up a little bit, feel free.
Oh, man, I hate how there's no Control Z on OBS. There, Mel.
I know. I've never made a mistake, so I wouldn't know.
Is that better?
Thank you, Bob.
All right, let me fill up my drink and we'll go.
Oh.
Are you ready to talk about World of Warcraft?
Nope. Bob was so mad at me that I didn't raid on Wednesday. He was like, Mel. And I was like, listen, I've been working all day. I am super tired. You guys don't need me. It's optional. I will be there on Tuesday and Thursday.
You're ruining everything, Mel.
I know. And then he asked me, he's like, did you sign up for the Saturday raid? And I was like, it's my freaking birthday. I'm not raiding Kara tomorrow on my birthday. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Happy birthday.
Thanks. I'm 25. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Blah, 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 blah.
You get away with it.
Blah, 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 blah. Right, ready? This is just for me.
I don't know. Are you ready? You're the one that sounds not ready. Right? I'm gonna pour some water on your head too. Really get this going.
Let's do it.
Welcome to Warcraft Reloaded, a podcast brought to you by Mash Those Buttons, covering World of Warcraft Classic, now TBC Classic, and its community. I am Bobby, also known as Blazin' Bob, and today we're joined by Ryan, aka Cognitive Pit. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great.
Awesome, good to hear.
Excited to talk about World of Warcraft today.
I am too. We're also joined by Mel, aka Melarina. How you doing?
I'm very good. Did I answer fast enough for you today, Bob?
You did well. I actually left the gap in last week because we talked about it. I couldn't really find a way to cut it out. Oh man! All right, well. We've got a big one today. You guys came through a ton on reviews. We've got those. We've got what we've been doing. We've got raid progression. There is quite a bit of news. Then we got some discussion about there was some bad behavior going on in the PvP scene, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. And if we have time, we're going to talk about some crazy new WoW Classic servers that are popping up, and we're going to talk about them in the sense of like, what if Blizzard did this type of deal. So with that being said, I'd like to remind everybody we always stream live on twitch.tv/mashthose-buttons. We usually do so Friday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. So if you'd like to check us out, say anything in chat, you can do so by following that. All right. Yep. We had a lot of reviews this week. You guys killed it.
Yeah. Yeah, people definitely
They're
crushed.
making up for all of our weeks without reviews, guys. We appreciate it.
All right. The first one is on Apple Podcast. Great group and loving the guests lately. Me too. Really, really quality guests lately.
Same.
Been listening for a couple of months during my commute and really enjoying this group. The guests the past few weeks have been especially awesome. I'm hoping Melderon will continue to come on because he is one of my favorite classic WoW content creators and really balances well with the other hosts. Bob, I love you, but quit talking over Mel. For the Horde, Odom on Azure's song.
Okay.
Couple pieces. Melderon will be back.
Yes.
Just so don't worry.
Yeah.
That's Bob's piece.
Until the foreseeable future, Melderon has agreed to grace us with his awesome presence once a month. So it's not every 4 weeks, but it'll be once a month. So look forward to those episodes. On the talk it over part, though.
Yeah, we pay him 1,500 gold an appearance, so we can't afford more than once a month right now. We're working on it.
On the talking over thing, I will just have you know, I don't know if you listen on audio or watch it on YouTube, most likely audio, but I space out people talking over each other quite a bit. Like, we all talk over each other a ton, and I actually just space it out. So it sounds like we just jump in right after the other's done talking, but we're all guilty of this.
As an innocent third party, I will jump in and give a real answer here. Is when Mel first joined the podcast, I too was worried about this because Bob's a bit of a talker. I was like, Bob's just gonna talk over Mel the whole time. I was a little worried. I was like, maybe it'll be awkward. Like Bob will just be over talking Mel. And then I realized Mel and Bob are the same person. and yeah, they talk. It's the amount of talking over. Yeah, I think they like get some sort of pleasure in talking over each other, and sometimes that's just how they act. In guild, for a while it was Blaze and Bob and Mel Arena, but eventually we all realized it was Blaze and Bob and Blaze and Mel, and they both.
Yeah, and don't be feeling bad for Mel. Like, if she really wants to talk,
bad for me.
You can go back in episodes and see where she said, "No, be quiet, I'm talking." So do not.
It's really
she will stand up for herself if she wants to. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. But thank you for the review.
Yeah, we do talk over. We all do talk over each other, but I'm not complicit. Okay, I'm adapting. I'm
adapting.
But thank you, Odom, for your wonderful review. It is a real shame about your faction choice. However, next review is also on Apple Podcasts. Great podcast. Thank you. I played all through Classic in the first 2 months of TBC. Quit shortly after Blizzard allegations, which I think a lot of people seem to have been falling off around then. You guys are my go-to podcast, along with Prepared, another great podcast.
Yep.
For keeping updated on Classic WoW. You three have great synergy, and I like how your mains are each a different role. Bob equals DPS, Mel equals heal, Yip equals tank. You also invite guests every episode. Oh no,
not every episode.
Which is nice. Keep it up, Lucas, at Old School MMO. Lucas, thank you so much for that review. Definitely can't blame you for dropping off. I think a lot of people felt pretty similarly. If you're not entirely impassioned by the game, it's not a bad idea.
Yep.
If that's how you feel. And you probably would not have liked the podcast when it was me, Bob, and Steelwolf, and we were all three DPS warriors.
Yep.
in classic.
It was a big worry for us early
classic
on.
vanilla. Isn't it fun to press whirlwind? Yeah, remember, how about bloodthirst? How high of a bloodthirst have you guys
Probably the
hit?
exact same spec too,
man.
right?
Yep.
Oh, everything exactly the same.
Yeah.
Anytime, if we're gonna get gear, it would be like at the detriment of each other. Like, oh, you got a CTS? Yeah, that's really
yeah.
cool. We're really happy for you this week.
Yeah.
Out from my cold dead hands.
Oh man, and yeah, this was yeah. I specifically didn't ask for a guest on this week because on weeks where there's this much to talk about, and probably a lot of the weeks throughout our progression in SSC and TK, like last week, I felt so bad with Hamster Wheel just kind of sitting through that while we talked about it so much. He enjoyed it, but I'm not sure other guests would, you know. So when we're so packed like that, we just have to kind of be like, well, I could get a guest this week, but maybe it's a better idea not to.
Yeah, get a guest or have a 4-hour podcast. Those are our options. 2 more coming in. We got the other 2 are also on Apple Podcasts, so we can get that out of the way. Amazing show. I love the show. I found the podcast a few months ago, and I've been hooked since. The show is informative, upbeat, uplifting, and most of all, fun. Thanks for making quality content. Listening in is always one of the highlights of my day. Axel. We're gonna go Axel.
Axel.
Okay, we'll go with Axel. On Benediction US. A lot of people on Benediction. Is Benediction the #1 most populated server now? Did I make that up?
I think it is. I could check really quick.
At least in Battlegrounds, it's like always Benediction. I miss the superiority I used to feel. Like, yeah, White Main's like, that's where the protagonist plays. That's the real server.
It is the most populated server at the moment at 18,763. Man, servers are popping right now. Like, that is huge. We're at 15,219.
I will say, I agree with Yip that it's probably Axel.
Or,
I don't know if Bob. I
or
don't know if Bob's
Axely.
phonics. I don't know if Bob's
maybe?
phonics is
Axele?
very good, but the E after the L makes the A a long vowel.
When 2 vowels go walking,
Hey,
the first one. That's the talking.
This is why you tune in, so you can learn about phonics.
All about phonics.
I'm hooked now.
The most important thing is I absolutely went into it with wrong as well. There was no. I was like Axele. All right. But thank you. That is a wonderful review. We really appreciate it. And then the last review. Thanks for not giving up on Blizz games. First, unlike many other WoW classic content creators and podcasters, you have all chosen not to abandon WoW games, including TBC Classic, over the recent Activision Blizzard lawsuits. For that, I give you a heartfelt thank you for staying the course. Assuming the allegations are true, I concur that there must be accountability and corrective measures taken at ATK. Attack.
No, it's
said,
Activision. Sure. It's Activision. What's it? It's the mobile brand that's with them.
Yeah. It disappeared. Someone needs to hit undo.
Sorry.
This is why we shouldn't give Mel editor.
That said, it does not mean that we should all stop playing Blizzard games over the abuse and wrong conduct of some higher positions. And now it's AB.
We don't know our acronyms very
Activision Blizzard. WoW games have not suddenly become tainted and unworthy of our play because of the lawsuit. My honest opinion, or humble opinion, if we quit playing over the scandal and basically abandon the community, all we are really doing is hurting the innocent workers still employed at Blizzard. That put the real sweat and tears in developing our beloved games. So thank you all for continuing to put out a great podcast week over week, despite calls from others to give it up. Your show is an upbeat, positive inspiration that encouraged me and others to want to get in there and continue to play and have fun, despite all of the political and legal hubbub in the news. I love the features of the show, from the opening dialogue to the news to casual interviews with other content creators. It's all great. In sum, 5 stars to Warcraft Reloaded. It is hands down the best podcast for classic content available. Please keep on keeping on. and that's from Joseph68 on Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much for that review.
Thank you.
And we've mentioned it before, and we don't have to dive deep into it, but I think for the people who wanted to quit, I think that you're more than valid in doing that.
Yeah.
But I think in people who want to stay, help create a better community, help encourage the people who work at Blizzard who aren't a part of this to keep on making a good product. I think you're also just as valid. So I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah.
A really good comment.
Just
And
to
I
add
appreciate-
on, sorry, go ahead.
Do you think the review modified Bob's behavior there? I appreciate that he realized that we were upbeat and positive. We do try to, talk about the things we love and, chat about the things that are important. And we did touch on the Blizzard allegations, but we don't want it to be the focus of our podcast. It's not why we're playing the game. It has, nothing to do with why we're playing the game. And so, I appreciate that you still love to listen.
And for me, basically, I say at the start of the show, this is a show about WoW Classic, TBC Classic, and the community, not about Blizzard. And that's why we oftentimes don't cover a lot of the things that are going on. Like we didn't cover the document shredding because it's just not what this podcast is about. And I know myself, a couple dozen Blizzard employees that are awesome people and great, and did not participate in any of this, and so continue to support them. I feel is a good idea, and I play the game. Like I don't like EA, but I still buy Madden. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so.
Do you?
Yeah, it's just like I don't
doesn't
really
anymore.
like. It's just it's not for me. Like it's for other people to take care of, and I'm just gonna play the game and do a show about the game. So don't hate anybody that quit. Don't hate anybody that stayed. You do you.
Yeah, and my last point about the people who work there is that, I started playing WoW when I was like 12. I am 28. There is a generation of people who work at Blizzard now who grew up on Blizzard games. These are people who
sure.
have seen Blizzard in our idealistic kind of viewpoint. Like the consumers have always been like, Blizzard's the greatest company. Well, there are
Yeah.
people working there who joined Blizzard with that same thought, who can still make the company that way again too. The old guard, I think, is what caused a lot of these problems. And these are the
Definitely.
people who were there when I was 12, but they're not but that doesn't mean us 12-year-olds had to become like them. So
Right.
of all the great people working at Blizzard, we absolutely give our support to them.
Definitely,
sure.
definitely. All right, what have we been doing this week in WoW? Who wants to go? You've been doing a ton, Yip.
I've been playing a bit. Yeah, I can go. Well, have I been playing a ton? The first thing, let me work backwards. Yesterday was hectic because and let me see if I can pull up the exact timestamp here. Our guild leader messages me yesterday. It's our first Tempest Keep raid night. And he says to me, he asks, if you're online today, see if we can figure out some arcane resist for you and then one of our other tanks. I've been watching as many VODs and I can't even find anyone doing it the other way where you don't have soakers. So I was prepared, and luckily we have a guild bank now. Without a guild bank, this never would have happened.
Yeah.
So big shout out to Kim, of course. So I get on. Oh, and I wanted the timestamp. I think it was like 2 p.m. Or even 3 p.m. In the day for me, which is 3 p.m. He sends that. We raid in 7 hours, so luckily I was able to scrap together. I went out there. Bob crafted me a few pieces. I had to leverage the whole guild because some of these arcane pieces are pretty obscure. They drop randomly. Luckily, like everyone is a tailor. Everyone, it's actually pretty cool compared to vanilla, where most people didn't seem to be crafting professions.
Right.
Like how many blacksmiths were there in vanilla? How many
Almost
leather
none.
workers were there?
I made
now
so
it's like,
much money because there was no blacksmiths. Like I sold that ice plate and then also sharpening stones.
how
Just
much money
like
did
there's-
elemental sharpening stones make people?
Oh, tons.
Right. I feel like there's more benefits to every profession now, right?
Oh,
like
there
there's
totally are.
there's more benefits than just like whatever
Yeah.
you needed it for.
Yeah, and you can tell because it's like, okay, I needed these tailoring things, and I'm just asking like every clothy, like, hey, you're almost guaranteed to be a tailor. I need these items, so we pull together 2 nearly full sets. I'm gonna count them as full. If Prosecutor had his violet badge, he would have been max arcane res. So we were able to pull those together, but that was a pretty fun, intense way to spend my Thursday. Like, okay, this could
Well,
hinder our progress or
and
not tonight. Let me.
just to add on, you like messaged me, and I was watching a show with Mel, and we had to like stop it so I could go make your stuff real quick. And she was like, "What
No,
are you
Bob
doing?"
just like walks away, and I go, "What are you doing, Bob?" And he's like, "Oh,
I've
I
been
gotta
called.
make Yip some stuff for raid." And I was like, "Are you for real right now?"
Well, I
Duty
appreciate it because
calls.
that stuff was like the soul cloth was the last piece. I was like, it was pretty. I don't want to say. I mean, we could have wasted the money, but the upcharge of the crafting, just buying it off the auction house, was so much.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, I need to get this stuff crafted. I can't waste any more guild bank money.
Yeah, I think I
Uh,
was looking at it when I logged in, and it was like a little over 200 gold profit each of the pieces I made you, and I made you 4 pieces, so that would have been like almost a K gold.
yeah, so absolutely ridiculous. But luckily, we were able to get that together, which was pretty cool. Other than that, I've just been playing both of my characters. I've been trying to make some money, keeping them full up. I got my druid, the sick Ilhoof staff finally, so I can be a
Nice.
more efficient cat. I've been doing arena. I've been kind of like relishing. Is relishing the right word? I feel, is that a good word? Relishing in.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Reveling in what am I
Reveling.
doing?
Reveling.
Maybe I'm reveling in, but
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying TBC now.
Rolling around.
I was definitely one of those people that enjoyed the raid loggy times of phase 1 because it was just sort of boring and there wasn't a lot to do. But now I just feel like there's a ton to do. A lot more people are PvPing. I feel like any given day I can get someone to do arena with me, even if we have to like switch up teams. Um, People are doing heroics. We're doing Brew Fest, which we'll talk about more too as we come out. But we've been hitting Brew Fest every day. We're doing it on our alts. We might go do a ZG. People are just on and playing. Phase 2 has been really, really good so far, I think.
I
Yep.
feel like it's been like a week.
It's been a week, I know. The problem is we do so much in that time.
Yeah.
It's been like we've had 2 weeks of like, yeah, I mean, I guess it's only been 8 days, like 9 days. But it is just, seeing people on and doing stuff is fun. So it's been nice. But yeah, in a month from now, I'm sure we'll hear the
Right.
same tired song. But
But that's
right now,
okay,
everything's
right?
good.
Like I think that's good. Like to have times
Yeah,
where you don't have to be so invested and times where it's fun to be invested and not just playing because you have to, but playing because you want to and there's fun things to do.
yeah, absolutely. And I think alts are really beneficial because if I really wanted to raid log more, I could have never made my druid. But now that I have my druid, it's like, okay, I can adjust how much I want to play. I can do 1 set of raids this week. I can do 2 set of raids this week. I can
Right.
do, this much arena. I can do this many battlegrounds. So having an alt really lets you limit, okay, I don't have to work that much this week. I can play some more and there's stuff for me to do. But yeah, in a couple of weeks, if you only have 1 character, you'll probably fall into the whole like, okay, I've crafted my stuff, I've got my vortexes, I've done this. But yeah, super alt friendly, and I'm having a good time. I haven't even done dailies yet, so actually, there's still even
I
more
haven't
for me to
either.
do.
Yeah.
Same. Mel
But
hasn't even done her druid quest, which is surprising to me because I thought
you
she'd
have
be
the
on
flight
that.
too. Yeah, that's the other thing. I've been doing Sethic Halls as much as I can right now. Not on my druid, just stealing other people's. No luck so far, but one day the
What do I
Raven
have
Horde.
to get?
That's
What
it.
do I have to get from Seth Calls? I just have to do it, right? I don't have to like
Yeah.
get a drop.
No, well, okay. So for the quest, there's like a chain you have to go through, and I think it ends in Sethic Halls, and you have the ability to summon Anzu, and he drops him out, and that's all I care about. And you can,
Got
after
it.
you finish the quest, you can keep summoning it. Um,
Yeah.
so
Once a day, though, right? It's only heroic, right?
hmm
Yeah. So,
yeah. So
Yeah.
once a day, even if you have 5 druids, you only get to summon once.
Mhm.
yep.
Listen, I've been really busy at work, so I have not had time to even log on to my druid to do anything. I think maybe I did some arena with you, Bob. Did I do arena?
We did. Ooh, I don't know. I don't think we have done any arena yet this week. You did 5s at the very end of last week. We got you
Yeah. I
30%
gotta
on
wait till the
5s.
Monday night, you know, bad people are on to make
Oh, yeah.
myself feel better about
That's kind of the
everything.
nice thing, though. You can just be like, okay, I have more work this week. We're gonna put the druid aside for
Right.
a week or two.
Yeah.
Yep, and then the
I
quest
log
might
onto
actually
my
be
druid
easier.
to make I log onto my druid to make elixirs and potions and stuff, and now I'm like, well, I don't even need to do that. I guess I could just put them in the guild bank. Except for I'm
Yeah, throw them in
broke.
the guild bank.
Yeah, but I'm broke, so no.
I'm broke too.
Yeah, for me, that's what I've been trying to do a lot this week. I've spent a ton of money here at the start of phase 2, so I've been trying to just do a lot of crafting and finding what I can craft that'll make me the cash back that I've depleted, because I got down to a low enough capital to where it's like I can't make the money as fast because I don't have the initial capital to
Yeah.
make the stuff. And so I've been doing that. I haven't got to do any dailies. I was kind of waiting for Mel to kind of start the starter stuff out. And so once I start that out with her, I'll probably just do them by myself if I need to. But I haven't done those yet. I'm excited to do those. Probably get some of those done this weekend. I've done quite a few twos this week, arena with Kim, but it gets a little tough because we play super late at night, and then all we run into is just rogue mage. And we beat some of them, but it's like banging your head against the wall.
I
as
don't know if
Shadow
it's
Priest
time of
Warrior.
I don't know if it's time of day. I've been experiencing the same thing where I've been going in with the druid hype pod in our guild in twos, and it's either rogue mage or rogue priest 60% of the time. I need to like start cataloging these groups. It's actually insane how often we run into them.
Yeah, it's and it's so hard when they know what they're doing, and it's just like
Yeah. Yeah. You're up against a good rogue
Very
and you
depressing.
immediately know.
Yeah.
Yep.
My favorite is when I'm up against a bad rogue and I go into bear form and they literally just like hit on me and they don't do anything to me. And Bob's like, "You okay over there?" And I'm like, "Surprisingly, yes. I'm actually very fine."
But
Yeah,
yeah,
you're good.
haven't really just been really doing a lot of crafting stuff, and I've been crafting a lot of stuff for the G Bank. Kim will send me a bunch of mats, and I'll just craft everything, throw it in there. Been doing a lot of that, and really want to get
Kim
into
has the
Brew
same
Fest
professions
stuff.
as me. Kim has the same professions as me, so I never get asked to craft all of that stuff.
But I mean, I have raided a ton. Like I've been raiding like every week on lots of stuff with like both of my characters, and
Yeah.
so that's been quite a bit. I still have not gotten a dagger to drop. Like I keep going with Lockdude and just can never get any luck to save my life. Still haven't gotten the wand either.
Do you have a lot of options in tier 5 for weapons or
I think there's 2. There might be 3, but it feels like everybody's saving up points for those weapons, and they're just going to replace the weapon. I wish I could just take their hand me down, but I can't.
maybe they might opt to not spend as much DKP on a weapon if they already have like a prince weapon or the sword. Maybe not though. Weapons
We'll
are pretty
see.
nice.
Yeah, they're pretty important, and I could definitely see it. Like right now, I'm missing 41 or 42 spell power that I just would have. That's like half of a flask, like right there. That's a lot of.
Yeah.
It's a lot to be missing. So, but
I did
what are
go
you gonna do?
on the Saturday raid, the Mag and Beyond, right? I signed up. I don't remember being there, but I
Oh
signed
yeah,
up.
yeah. Mag and Grill are pretty easy now. We 22 manned that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
is that the one where I like wasn't present for it?
Yeah,
Or
you were on like a work call or something.
that was Wednesdays. That was Wednesdays.
Yeah, I wasn't there on Wednesday,
Okay.
and Bob looked at me like, "You're not coming to raid? Like, why wouldn't you sign up?" And
I'm
I looked at
surprised
him.
we've been getting a lot of Wednesday signups.
Well, and I've been signing up, right? But I just I knew I was like defeated from work, right? And I was like, I need to get some sleep because I have to work really early in the morning, and I'm not going to be on until midnight. So I didn't go.
Good. I say good.
Yeah.
If you don't want to go, don't go. Just don't quit the game.
Yeah.
That's my.
Did I tell people last week or was it this week that I got the ribbon from Kara finally on my priest?
Yeah, that was Saturday. That
Was it? Yeah, it was.
Saturday.
Yeah,
I
because
think.
that was
I
the
think it
one
was
where
Saturday.
I was like on Blaze and Bob most of the time, swapped out for Mel for the ribbon, then swapped to Lock Dude for Prince.
Well, he was on Blaze and Bob, and then he let me take his spot for the opera event. just to see if the ribbon would drop. And it actually did drop.
Yeah.
Like, what? And so finally I had the ribbon. And so now I have no reason to go to Kara. And so Bob came up to me and was like, "Hey, you want to come to Kara?" And I was like, "Nah," on Wednesday. And I was like, "Nah." And he was like, "What? You don't need anything from Kara?" And I was like, "No, I don't
I
actually."
said
He
on
was
your
like, "I hate
druid.
you."
You too good for Kara now, Mel?
I did hate her though. I was like, I freaking hate you. I still need 3 items that just never seem to go to me.
I know.
But yeah, just been raiding a bunch, and I'll probably be doing a bunch of the Brew Fest and dailies next week.
The state of Kara makes me very happy. One, it's a little nerfed, which is nice. Makes Nightbane a trillion times easier. That's like the real nerf is Nightbane. It was already pretty nerfed. You could do it with a 10 man of any gear, but Nightbane was always like I don't want to do it with a bunch of fresh 70s. It's not going to go well. But now,
yeah,
it's a little more reasonable.
We don't even kite the ads. We just
Oh yeah, you don't even need to. You just take them now. So pretty huge. That's really nice. But I like the state that Kara's in. It's even better than ZG. I guess maybe because there's no enchant, so we don't feel like the need to have to do Kara forever. But just being there on Saturday, we didn't have a planned Kara, right? We were just gonna do the 25 mans.
Yeah.
And people were like, "You want to do Kara?" And then
Mhm.
quickly you can get enough people to go do Kara that we can just go do it, which is so
Yep.
nice to me. Where before it was like, anyone want to do ZG and everyone starts logging off.
Yep.
Like no one really wants to do any of this stuff. But with Kara, like enough people need 1 or 2 pieces and it's short enough and interesting enough. It's kind of worth going and you're kind of hanging out.
And
Especially
then,
now that it's nerfed, it's really relaxed.
and then I don't know if we told anybody on the podcast, just to let you guys know, there's no more attunement to enter Kara. Now you still have to have someone open the door for you or wait till someone opens the door, but you can zone right in. There's no attunement at all, which is nice for alts. And yeah, it's going to be run forever because it turns into a badge pinata later, and
Yep.
it's going to give like most of the bosses two badges per, which sounds crazy, but once you see what the Sunwell badge gear costs, like we're talking like 100 badges per item. So it'll make sense at that point for Kara to be dropping those.
Yeah, it'll be nice too and kind of trivialize heroics a little bit. Not a ton, because like if you want to get everything at once, you won't be able to just bang it out in Kara. But it's interesting. The raids so far have been good. I'm not annoyed at old tier content yet, which is a good sign.
Yep. Yeah. And Karas are just like pretty relaxed now. You're joking, you're having a good time. Where, early on it was kind of business, and like now it's just like whatever.
Yeah, well, yeah. Before it was like, okay, we have to keep moving to hit 2 hours, and like maybe we want to hit an hour 45. Like we have to like keep moving. Like let's do it right. Now you can hit that time frame and like be chill about it. Or, I mean, we could do a try hard care and see what time we could get. I bet we could get it pretty quick now. But it's like there's something about like if it's under 2 hours, I'm just like satisfied. Like,
Like,
Dude.
yeah,
you know?
it's good.
If we want to do a true speed run, melee cleave, man, like that hour and a half Kara was nuts, and I was on an alt. Like it's just
It was
Yeah,
miserable. for me
melee.
when-
Yeah, it's so good it's really good having a melee cleave group. I can't even imagine having 2 melee cleave groups. I've only done it with like one full group where you have like a shaman, a rogue, a feral druid, me, and then I think we had a hunter, and we were just clearing,
I mean, we were
like
just
plowing. Yeah, so it's been good, and I guess because we didn't talk about it last week because I think we didn't know what the nerfs were. But for the other 25 man content, Magtheridon is the big one, only needing 1 set of clickers. So you still have to click. You need 5 people to click, but the debuff will go away before he casts it again. So you can just have the same 5 people clicking, which is significant.
It's
to
yeah.
say the least.
I mean, it's huge. Like I didn't even have to do a curse this last one. I think I ended the fight at like 1.8k DPS.
Ooh,
It's
yeah.
so much fun, but it is definitely gruel. You can't kill yourself being in range of people to save your life. Like you're like half life, and there's 3 people close, like within 18 yards, and you're just like live. I mean, you just can't die.
And he really is not hitting the tank at all. And a portion of that's just going to be that all your DPS are alive and he dies faster. So he's not growing as much too. But that it's very it's very easy. We were able to successfully do all the 25-man content with me not in Discord, so it with like 22 people. It can't be too bad.
Well, do you want to take us into our raid progression for this week?
Let us do it. So last week we were able to get 4 bosses down in SSC. We had 1 raid night. We got to Fathom Lord. We were able to get them down. So this week we had 2 full raid nights. We're ready to go. Everyone is slightly more geared than they were the week prior, but we're much more prepared going in. So we head into SSC, and well, the first thing is Blazing Bob's in there, a warrior, a PvP warrior. It's hanging out with us because we made a deal to have him buy nether
Deal with the
vortexes
devil.
from us. A deal with the devil, truly. So we're planning. Okay, he only needs 2 of them, right? I think he only needed 2 of them
Yeah, because
going
we got
into.
to the trash run the week before.
Yeah. Well, he needs 5 total. So that math.
Oh,
But I think
No,
he
we got
only needed
3 the
Okay.
trash run
Ah,
prior, and then
Great.
yeah, I just needed 2.
So we have a Lock Dude and Blazing Bob there. They're switching back and forth. Bob's bringing in whoever is needed. Lock Dude for the boss, Blazing Bob for the trash. Spoiler, still does not have a Storm Herald. Anyway, we head in. Trash goes a million times more smooth, except for the first pull. I think we talked about last time those Spore Bat pulls. We kept trying something different every time, and they kept getting worse and worse for some reason. Finally, we have the strat that's going to work. The Spore Bats are going to hit the tanks no matter what. We get down there, and we just wipe.
Right off the bat.
We just wipe on the first pull. So whatever. We just AoE it all down, and we don't wipe.
Harskar, my favorite was Harskar being like, okay, forget it. We're just gonna AoE and we're just gonna push through.
Yeah, it's like we're just done trying new things. If one person dies, fine. Like what's the point at this
Yeah,
point?
basically it turned into like, guys, on trash, wear more stamp gear.
Which I think is the play. Not just on trash either. There's some bosses that there are some mechanics that will just kill you. It seems like it's not a bad idea to have a reasonable amount of health. We were talking last night. Some people were saying 9k. I've read people saying 10k. If you got 10k health, you probably won't get one shot by a lot of mechanics. But some people are going with like 7k health.
It would take
Well,
to
the
get me to 10k health?
Well,
Like,
no,
let's just be real here.
not really though. The problem is a lot of those crafted stuff like
Have no stam.
yeah, like spell strike pants had no stamina. Like the cloth stuff for healers had no stam. Like there was just a lot of stuff. But if you're wearing tier gear and stuff like that, I mean that tier gear has quite a bit of stamina.
Well, Mel definitely has no tier gear, so Priest skipped that. That's fine.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things where it's like you get charged by an enraged Spore Bat and you get one shot, and it's like it just does this amount of damage. And that's that. So there are a couple mechanics like that, but trash went really, really good. We had seen almost all of the trash at that point because we had done 4 bosses, so we had going back through a lot quicker on everything. We one-shot Hydros, no problem at all. Much easier this time. We didn't really change too much. I guess just people focusing on DPSing more and worrying less about their positioning. We were just like going ham as soon as we attacked.
Just a heads up, we
I think
did
the
change.
healers were more prepared too for those fights, like the transitions, making sure that we were healing on the transitions. I think there was just confusion about if that damage was random or if it was like planned, and I think we just had better communication and we were used to the fight. Let's be real, our guild in general is always much better the second time we do something than the first week.
We're a see it and then do it. But what were you saying? What did we change on Hydros?
So our little like DPS pumper group like talks a lot about what we're gonna do. The Warlock group, like so.
Yeah.
Basically, this week, me, Harry Daughters, and Desu, 2 Chains, and FJ all were like, let's just kill the girls that are on our platform instead of the fear, because we were just like, let's just help.
You're talking about
everybody.
Lurker, not Hydros.
Oh yeah, my bad. All right, never mind.
We
did nothing new.
Okay. I was like, dang, you guys had a lot of strategizing I didn't even think about.
We did. We
Right.
did just walk a couple. At least a few of us did just walk a couple steps across each time you guys switched. In case it were to come to us, it wouldn't walk past the flags and spawn more ads.
Yeah.
So little
That's
change.
good. Yeah, little change. So, a lot better there. But we were pretty fine on that before. But Lurker, who once again had no interest in dropping my mallet, and for all I know, as we'll talk about, for all I know, mallets weren't even dropping from SSC. Mallet of the
Yep.
Tide from Lurker.
Yep.
Who
Later in the
knows?
news.
Who knows the broken state that they put these raids out in that I will be summarily complaining about. Um, but we kill Lurker. So yeah, we did do things a little bit different there. So you guys killed your, instead of just like fearing endlessly, you decided to just kill them. Is that what you did?
Yeah, basically, it was taking two of us to fear him endlessly, and it was annoying. And it was like, like you have to watch for the other mechanics, and like really, we could burn him down pretty quick. So we would just we would fear him, then help everybody burn everything else down, and then we'd burn him down really quick before Lurker would come back up.
And you didn't need a tank or anything for that, right? Because you're
No,
warlocks.
they
Yeah.
do break fear like right away when you do damage, but honestly, we killed them so fast they didn't kill anybody.
Yeah, they're pretty low hitting mobs. Like I think almost
Yeah.
anyone with decent health can tank them, which is pretty nice. It feels I don't want to come out here and be like this feels undertuned, but it feels like it should be harder. Like for a quote unquote pre nerf, like you would think it'd be like we have to CC these ads as they're coming in, but it really is just hey, let's CC them and maybe we won't have to do as much work. Like it's
Right.
not really out of necessity. It's just out of like why
Really,
not?
yeah, really the most dangerous thing in the whole fight is I don't know the name of it, but where he shoots the water in a circle
Yeah,
around.
this out.
Yeah, if you get hit by
Mhm.
that, you're out of the fight. Because first off, it like
Oh,
if it
we're
doesn't
aware.
kill you just on the hit, it knocks you like 7 miles back.
You're not gonna make it back.
Yeah, you're not gonna
Right.
get rezzed either. You just might as well just release and walk back.
Yeah. Can I just redeem myself a little bit because
Of
I did
course.
not die in SSC this last week. I know we talked about me dying a lot the week prior. I was pretty much dead the whole raid. But this last week, my soulstone ran out like twice without
Wow.
Wow.
dying.
Well, just wait till we get to
And
TK and a
we
certain
don't need to
boss.
talk about that. We don't
Well,
need to talk about that.
I'm bringing it up. I don't. I believe that you believe what you just said, and I want to keep that encouragement going. You died one less time than the week prior. However, I think the difference
What?
is a lot of those were boss attempts.
We're the
Where
last boss where
a
we were
lot of
on.
people are very high on this list compared to last time.
Was I
You're not
lower
an
than a
out.
lot of people though?
You are number one.
Wait,
on
I
this
died the
list.
most?
You died the most.
No
Yeah.
way!
Yeah.
Logs don't lie. Logs don't lie.
I don't believe it.
Across encounters and trash, you died 16 times, with the second person dying 15 times.
I don't believe it.
Yeah. I only died Blazing oh never. I was like Blazing Bob only died 2 times. You weren't there for bosses.
Yep, I was yeah, that was I could just talk on that real quick while you're getting to the next, but
Yeah.
the switching on and off from Blazing Bob to Lock Dude just made me feel like a fucking asshole. Like it was the worst every time I did it. And I'm like sending Harry a message. I was like, "Can I get another summon?" Because he's having to summon both my characters each time I log because it shoots me back to the start, and it felt so bad. I just want it to be over. But I'm not gonna be like, no, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just, but yeah,
Yeah, no, I mean it's rough, but you'll have a Storm Herald this week, and you'll forget all about the trials and tribulations of Blazing Bob.
Oh man.
So I after disturbing Mel, I feel bad, but
Okay, can we talk about this?
we can.
Because I'm looking and I didn't die until an hour and a half in.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, it
Okay.
was.
Okay.
That's like right when we're getting to the progression stuff. Basically, is when we started dying.
Yeah, because we did it a little weird. Since Blaze and Bob was in there, we did all the trash for both Lurker and Hydros prior to taking on any
Yeah.
boss, just to get it
Yeah.
out of the way and not have to switch as much.
Unfortunately, our Nether Vortex drop rate is horrendous in both raids, so not really a huge, not a not a huge benefit doing it that
It's
way.
been a bummer. It definitely has. When other people are getting like 17 a run.
Maybe next week will be our week, but we killed Lurker. Same kind of, just not the loot hasn't been great. We haven't seen any crazy items from those two bosses yet, unfortunately, and who knows the reason why. But after that is Leo, and we had a worse Leo this week than we did last week. We
Yeah.
almost wiped. In fact, we were down to like the last few people for some reason, and I'm not. People were just dying to Whirlwind a lot. That was sort of just what it came down to. And the reasons I'm not exactly sure. Maybe Bob has some more insight, but I lived this time as opposed to getting mind controlled permanently. So
Yeah, I died pretty quickly on that fight, and what's weird is I don't think I was that close to him. Like it was really bizarre how I died, but I was also like running away. I was life tapping, so I was probably at like two-thirds health. But like I feel like he wasn't that close, and I don't know if it could have been latency or what, or maybe there was a shadow buff or something where it actually was the rage it was supposed to be, because it felt definitely weird. So I don't know what was up with that, but it definitely was not as good. Like maybe we just got too comfortable because we one shot
yeah,
it the first time.
it might have been. It seemed
Well,
so easy the first time, but
let me tell you, I had a little minion spawn on me, and I was dreading this day, right?
yeah.
And it did it. And I turned to it immediately, and I'm like, smite, 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 smite. It's like, miss, miss. It hit, missed. And I was
Oh
like,
no.
no, like literally, I'm watching the timer, and this guy's like still half life, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like Shadow or Death, and then like I'm losing health and all of this stuff. I killed him like a millisecond before it was over,
I
and I was
saw
like,
Stoof struggling too.
oh,
Yeah, it's not great for healers or warriors for that instance. But I was prepared this time, and I didn't get hit by it. So who knows if I would have succeeded or not? That's the I lucked out, and I was not a target of the shadow, the clone that I had to kill. So, but yeah, nothing really changed with Leo. I think it really was maybe just positioning, getting hit by extra whirlwinds, and then late on the warlock tank ended up dying, and then we just had to like kill him before like the demon form chaos bolted everyone down to death. So it was pretty
I think there
exciting.
was like 4 of us still alive,
I
Yeah,
and I
know it
was
was crazy, and
can
we're
I
like
can I
clean.
just point out that I was one of them?
you were one of them.
Mhm,
Yep,
yeah, see?
and
I
it was
may have died
important.
16 times, but that wasn't one of them. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you. What do you normally die on? I don't even know what your
Listen, I
norm.
feel like my numbers are inflated because I get rezzed,
Yeah, your
and then
numbers are inflated
maybe I
because you're
die again.
always.
You're
That
always
actually is a
rezzed
fair
and
point.
soul
The
stoned.
souls, you're always taking combat soul stones. That actually
Yeah.
probably is a reasonable factor because you're only soul stoning when things are going wrong, which means we're probably gonna wipe again after anyway. That might be
Right.
like a actual statistical
Mhm.
outlier there. Something to
Yeah.
look into, something to dive deep into. But for now, we can all just laugh and move on.
Damn it.
Yep.
um,
Then
but
then we when we went past that, I didn't know how much trash was there afterwards, so I was kind of like dilly-dallying on swapping. And I swapped late to Blaze and Bob. Harry tried to summon me. Mel was the only one that hung back to help him summon. And then I didn't get summoned, and guess what dropped?
a
The
vortex
first vortex
dropped.
of the night. And we thought maybe I could get it because I was like running to
You're
it.
in the
But
raid. Yeah, you're in
yeah,
the raid with us. Yeah.
yeah, I was like halfway to you guys. But since I guess I was out of range, and so it wasn't able to be looted to be. Oh, so
That was like a mixture of two things. One, I think some people thought you probably could have got it where you were. 2, we hadn't seen a single nether vortex drop. I don't think anyone was like, yeah, this
Yep,
one
same.
pull when Bob's not here
Same.
is gonna be the
The
one.
only person that
Right.
thought that was me as I frantically was running back to you guys. Like, wait, I'm coming, I'm coming.
That was
Oh,
that
but
was
yeah, I
like,
would have been done if that would have happened because I got one just shortly, just a few kills later. So it's a bummer.
yeah, you would have been done, but thanks to your sacrifice, we do have 2 raid members who were able to get 2 of their own elsewhere. Butters ended up getting his shadow belt of deep shadows, which is pretty exciting. So we'll get your thing Tuesday, and we'll forget all this ever happened. But that was a pretty unfortunate situation, and you should have seen Officer text where Stoof was just like, "I can't loot this to Bob."
Well, she was sitting on it forever, and I just sent her a tell. I was like, you can't loot it to me, can you? And she goes, fuck. I was like, it's all right, man. Don't worry about it.
You kill like 100 things with no drop.
Yeah, I'm getting helped out well. Like I'm getting helped out big time. So I'm really not stressing about it. I'm just what surprises me is that people haven't complained, and like that humbles me, and just like that's why I felt like so weird logging in and logging out, because like people were just cool with it. Like people were happy when it dropped for me. Like
Yeah.
and so that part's super cool.
Yeah, everyone's been really great about it and supportive, and it's been nice. I complained a lot about how disjointed we felt when we weren't in 25 mans. Things are already feeling like better now that we're all raiding together.
Yep.
And less
More like
just
home.
like, yeah, exactly. Like we're all together. It feels a lot better. Like we're excited when people get gear. It feels better now than being like, I'm in a Kara and I'm actively competing for loot all the time. It's a little more reasonable. We've got DKP.
Yeah,
Everything
DKP makes
feels
people
a
feel
lot
better too.
Yeah, not knowing you're gonna have to roll for whatever item drops, like it's just a lot better. So we get Leo down, and then we're on to Fathom Lord, who we did not one shot last time, but we 2-shot last time with pretty reasonable success. And we do everything the same way, where we have myself grab the priest, run it behind a pillar so it's out of the way. We have a rogue kicking it as well too, and we just sort of hang out there until it's time to kill the priest. We have a druid who takes the shaman.
They did change it to where we weren't using. I wasn't doing tongues.
Right.
The rogue that was kicking was using, what is it, crippling poison?
Yeah, I was using.
I think
it's not crippling poison. It's
mind
the one
numbing poison.
Yeah, the numbing poison in order to slow him down, which totally worked. My only complaint is that the priest does an AoE freeze, and I think a warlock would have been better because I would be getting hit by that, as opposed to the rogue was also getting hit by it as well too. But the rogue was able to kick though, so the rogue could bring his own kick. So it's kind of heads up. Either way, we had one healer down there and it was fine. We had a druid take the main boss. We had a druid take the shaman, and then we had a paladin take the hunter and the hunter pets that were getting summoned. Same way we did it last week. But this week, oddly enough, our druid could not live against the full final boss. He was getting absolutely splattered by Fathom Lord once all the ads were down. And we killed it that way. We had another really close call. I think we wiped once, and maybe we might have even wiped twice. And then we ended up getting it down that same way. But yeah, we only wiped once. I'm looking back at it. But yeah, he got splattered both times. I was just able to get threat on the second time. I think we were expecting it, which was just weird. It wasn't happening that first week. I don't want to say it makes me feel good, but let's bring the warrior in. I'll go in there with my shield block and my last stand, put my cooldowns on there, shield wall.
I
I'm
think
down
that
for
was
it.
another one where we had like 5 people up, and
Yep.
I put on Shadow Word Pain. I think that was, that's how we got him down. I was like running around healing. I had like 300 mana at that point.
Yeah,
But
we had
guess
20
He
deaths.
was still alive on that boss too.
Mel was alive. I wasn't even alive. Now that I'm
Yeah,
looking
I
at it.
died. Like he turned on like like whatever bush he went down, he turned on me immediately and just splat. It was bad.
Yeah.
I wasn't. This is not a blaming statement, but I wasn't topped off for 20.5 seconds.
I wasn't your healer.
Everyone's my healer.
You were in the other side of the room.
It was after that. It was when the boss was up.
Yeah, it was when we're just
Oh.
all on the
Yeah.
boss, but
Yeah,
it was
it's probably because we were all out
People
of
were
mana.
dying though. Yeah, but I think it was probably because we were actively wiping. That might have been a part of it. But yeah, Bushy over 3 hits got hit for 33,000.
Mhm.
Over 3 hits, 11,000 per hit, 2 crushing blows. That's a lot of damage. I'm gonna probably have to take the main boss from now on. But even still, that is like absolutely insane. So we might need to figure out what we're doing with that. Yeah, that was just a lot of damage, and we didn't exactly know how to fix it other than putting the warrior on the main.
And what's weird is Bushy as a druid tank, I think he was saying he's like armor capped. So like any armor he adds like hardly does anything now.
I think that he can be armor capped. I don't know if he was armor capped.
Oh, for that fight specifically.
Those are very different. Yeah, because I know druids can be armor capped, but
There
and
was like a
maybe he's
crazy
wearing
amount of crushing blows too that happened this week, just in general. I feel like against our druids.
Yeah, the crushing blows are insane.
Yeah,
But I do
someone
think
in
that
chat, Swag Cat in chat says it's the bosses were just on a crushing blow spree across the entire week, making bears cry.
Yeah, it's Mira. I thought it was Mira.
Oh,
it's
I
it
Mira.
is. It is. It is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get some kind of sick satisfaction from this, but this is what we thought was going to happen in phase 1 with like Prince and stuff, where warriors were going to have their place because druids can't avoid those crushing blows, so they just get absolutely demolished. And I kind of feel like, all right, like
Here it is.
I could have lived. I wouldn't have been double crushing.
I have purpose.
Um,
It's kind of like what I told IDD. Although slow and dangerous behind the wheel, you still do serve a purpose as a rogue.
No, I don't know about that one, but maybe a rogue has it's like everyone can find their own purpose in life, and that's how I feel about rogues, you know? Like, you don't have any kind of like destiny. You have no actual place, but you create your own.
Hey,
Like
the saps on trash are pretty nice.
the saps on yeah, the trash saps are nice. I really enjoy that there's a lot of like CCable trash in both TK and in SSC because it just feels like people are participating more. Like it feels like we're actually doing something together. Whereas like
Right.
40-man Nax are doing these insano pulls where there's like no accountability on any given class.
Mhm.
We got 8 different tanks. We got 13 healers. You have all this insane like things, all these things going on. With this, it's like we've got 2 mages and we need both of these sheep. And if a mage
Right.
dies, we need to figure out what we're doing with that mob. And it's like way more fun that way. We have these sort of like, this is how we're gonna do the pull.
Right.
So that was good. So we did get Fathom Lord down, but next week a little scary. And we end up going to Moragrim. Does it with an N? It's with an M. Good.
The
Moragrim,
Murloc
like
dude.
I thought.
He's the
Or-
Murloc dude.
He's a sea giant, but yes, he summons Murlocs. Or as our amazing guild leader calls him, Mograine, which makes me laugh every time. We're going to SSC to fight Mograine. First couple of times on Moragrim, I get absolutely demolished by parry haste. I mean, it's just incredible amounts of damage that I wouldn't have survived no matter what. So that was pretty scary. I was
And
like,
you did
okay,
get heals.
I did get heals. Well, I didn't dive deep into the logs, but I'll just assume I got healed. No, I'm joking. I got hit down very, very quickly, which is scary on that fight because you have all these Murlocs coming around. There's a lot of things at play, So if something's going to crush me that hard, it's going to be a big issue. And I'm going in there with 19,000 buffed health. I'm obviously capped. I'm hitting shield block on cooldown. So that was pretty scary because those parries were off of there might have been like one or two parries that some melee were doing because they were like under the boss, but they're parrying off of me and I'm killing myself. So that was pretty scary. But once we kind of like understood that was happening, I think that it was just a fluke because I stopped immediately getting crushed down.
Yeah, but I
pretty
also
quick.
switched to
Oh,
only healing
real
you
quick.
Yes, which is big for the
and
buff.
putting
Real
inspiration
quick,
on you
for
and stuff.
any new listeners, why don't you explain parry haste really quick? Because it's something that like a lot of people just might not know about. Like I didn't know about it when we started this podcast. So
Yeah. So basically what happens is the way swing timers work, when somebody parries, it actually like speeds up the swing timer in essence. So if somebody hits you, so let's say someone's melee is 1.5 seconds and they hit you and then they parry you, they're going to hit you much faster than they would normally. So instead of getting hit every 1.5 seconds, a parry haste, you might see a melee hit come in, and then 0.5 seconds later, you'll get melee hit again, which 0.5 seconds is not fast enough for a heal to come out. So if
No.
you get hit for 6k and it removes your shield block, and then you get crushed for 9k, which is what was happening to me. I was getting hit for about 14 to 15k. If I'm not at 100% health, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
And that's what it was coming down to. And we only have one priest, which can be a
Is
problem
a
because
wonderful person, though. You know, I mean, she's the best.
personality wise, it's like we're full of priests.
Okay.
It's like we're full of priests. But the inspiration buff, which is like what, 15% armor, which is very big. With only one priest, makes it a lot harder to keep it up on me when priests are so insane at AoE healing. So it was like there was all these factors at play. So we had Mel heal me specifically, and I picked up a couple of pieces that will help as well too. But we didn't get Morrigan down. We were struggling with killing the Murlocs fast enough. That's what I'm gonna say was our sort of like we couldn't finish because like second spawns of Murlocs were coming in before the next ones were out. But it was like what that was more of a symptom than the actual problem. It's like the Murlocs might be going haywire, making it too hard to seed early enough. We're using 3 tanks instead of 1 or 2 paladin. Like we have all these things that we need to fix. But I think the biggest problem we need to fix is the gathering of the Murlocs, which we were having hunters like misdirect and super sapper the Murloc packs, which I think was nice. But I think just having it all on the single paladin and then letting people seed as hard as they want while everyone else stays on the boss, I think is good. Bringing 4 warlocks instead of 3 might have made a bigger difference.
I think
But at
having
the
healers too. I think there were down
the
healers,
end of the
right?
day, I think what we really want is to bring uh the thing that we really want is to bring 6 healers, but we've only been bringing 5. And it just you kind of feel it. We've been
Well,
feeling the
especially in
5.
that
especially if
fight,
you get
especially
warped too.
right. So that fight, there was at one point where Jasmine and Stoof got warped, right? 2 of our healers, like 2 of our main healers, right? So they got warped at the same time. And then I'm focused on Yip, and I'm like, I'm just watching people's health just like diminish. And I'm like, oh God,
And
but I can't stop
then
healing Yip. I told Yip I'd heal
Jasmine
Yip.
and Carpet got warped at the same time once also. It was like it was
Yeah,
pretty rough.
it was rough. So only 5 healers, especially on that fight where healers can get dragged into the middle and murdered. It's a little rough. So 6 healers, I think, would have resolved a lot of our problems. I think going back next week, even if we bring 5, I think we'll be okay. But I think we're going to be trying it with 6 and maybe 4 blocks and see if we can get Morrigan down. But it wasn't especially hard, but we were also just running out of time at that point as well too. Um, so I don't think we stayed like super duper late. We only stayed like an extra 10
No.
or 15 to do an extra
Yeah.
pull. And so maybe we could have gotten it down if we had more time. But that was our Tuesday. All this new rating. We haven't done
I
this.
know, right?
So on Wednesday, we decided to go do the old content. We're still soft resing all of that. And then we do a Tempest Keep loot farm. We decided to see if we could get Bob. No, we didn't try to see that because Bob is not Tempest Keep attuned. We just went in there to see what's up.
Yep.
And kill some trash. We were able to secure a couple, maybe one nether vortex that ended up going to the wrong person. So we had to put in a ticket, and I don't think that will get resolved. But,
It's a bummer.
well, our nether vortex situation is like a comedy of errors, but
Did somebody get it that could use it at least?
no.
I don't think so. I think it's just going to
Oh.
be sitting there.
No use. So that hurt. Hopefully they'll do something. I doubt that they will. But it is like it. It's just I don't know. It's a little bit frustrating with the way the game works. Like it's a very easy mistake to make because basically the person who needed the item crafted was given the item by the master looter, not the person who was able to do the craft. And it happened so quickly, not being able to trade that. I mean, it's just absolutely, it's a little bit crazy, but I understand. They explained there's a technical reason why you can't trade them. It is not like a thing that they are against. It's actually just technical. Because they stack. They had made a post about how because they stack, they can't do the you're allowed to trade it for 2 hours because it wouldn't work by like stacking on old vortexes. You'd be able to trade the whole stack and not just the one anymore. So they just for a technical reason they said they couldn't do it, but that's fine. We got a couple patterns. That was really good. So we're happy about that. And then we went in with like 18 people, and the Tempest Keep trash was not that bad. Bob, did you have any thoughts? I think Mel decided not to come.
Yeah,
Mel
it
missed an entire.
I mean, it wasn't that bad. Like it's just like you're not gonna be seeding it down at least at this point. Like you just like single targeting stuff, and we definitely had our failures and different things like throughout it, and then we get to the room at the very end of the first corridor, and Bushy's like, "Let's just gather it all up and seed it down." So he gathered everything, and we quickly died immediately to everything. It was pretty funny.
I wasn't in Discord, which again is a huge problem to coordinate this stuff. The polls end up going fine. Once we have a good way to pull them, I was kind of surprised at how simple those first polls were. I was like, okay, this is actually pretty easy with 18 people. Once we pulled it correctly. I didn't know what was going on. I thought we were dying on purpose or something as we were pulling that entire Phoenix room, Alar's room. I was like, is this on purpose? Are we pulling everything so that we'll just die and be outside the raid or something? Like, what are we doing here? But that was fun. And I think that's where we got the Belt of the Deep Shadows. I could be wrong. I think that's where we got the recipe. Which is pretty big.
I don't remember. But also, did you see our guild leader Harskar in chat give us a little bit of an update on inspiration?
Yeah, it looks like Resto Shamans have a similar buff to priests. So maybe we won't need Mel anymore, and we might be bringing 2 Resto Shamans, which will be pretty useful. So we'll see how that goes. But then finally, Tempest Keep, what we've all been waiting for. SSC is cool, but Tempest Keep, that's where everything's at. That's the Burning Crusade. Lady Vat, who even is that? Kael'thas, that's who we're really here to deal with.
Just so kind of depends on your class, because SSC I like more as a warlock. As far as gear goes. As far as gear goes.
Okay, that might be fair. But Tempest Keep, it's bright. It's not a cave. Big fan of that. Not being in a horrible little cave.
There's no freaking fish.
There's no fish. Big fan of that. No swimming.
You can fly right into it and not.
You can fly right into it.
Oh, that's the biggest thing.
We had some concerns it might be hard to get in, but it's very easy to get in.
Yeah, they basically made the guards immune, which kind of helps prevent people from PvPing there, because of course on Wednesday night, I guess I didn't cover this, but Wednesday night I get summoned, and of course the first thing I do, there's tons of hordes, so the first thing I do is just start dotting everybody up, and it just would start this huge war down there. Then we find out, oh, I can't even fear the guards, nothing, like they just beat on you and you can't do anything. Yeah,
they follow you forever too. I remember running away from them while leveling.
Yeah, just trying as many shenanigans as you can, see what you can get away with. But we head in. Trash, very simple. We do it the same way we practiced, which is nice. We get to Alar. I guess not all the trash is simple. Some of the Phoenix trash is like a little bit rough. I guess all of the trash is a little bit rough if you pull poorly. But
Yeah.
with a sap and 2 sheeps, the trash was much simpler. We have like each tank has to tank like one thing as opposed to 2 things, and just makes things a lot easier. You can deal with the melee and then deal with each spellcaster individually.
And like
So we
later,
make
there's like banishes and stuff too. There's a lot of good CC options to make things easier for trash.
There are a ton for sure. But then we reach Alar, and it's the first Tempest Keep boss. And I had heard that people were struggling on Alar. That people were struggling more than they thought they would. So I was prepared to wipe a couple of times. But the way that Alar works is there's 6 platforms basically up top. The first phase, Alar shifts back and forth between these platforms somewhat randomly. And then after that first phase, you kill Alar, you jump down, he's reborn, and you kill him down at the bottom. And sometimes you have to gather for a meteor. Sometimes then you spread out. You have to watch out for fire on the ground. But
are you saying a phoenix rose from the ashes in phase 2? Is that how it works?
There were no ashes. That was the worst part of the horrible experience. Bad raid, 3 out of 10. Where are the ashes? But yeah, the phoenix rises, and we kill him. Our trouble with that at first, I guess, being the tanks needed to kind of like learn the positioning to let as few flame buffets go off. So if no one is in melee range of Alar, he'll start just AoEing the entire group and just killing everybody. So you need to get there as quickly as possible, but it's a little bit of a distance. So finally, people were kind of using their abilities to make this easier. You have priests can use their little shadow fiend and make sure that that's in melee range.
All of our priests.
All of our many priests. Rogues were able to sprint and like tank like one hit while the warrior druid would get in and then make sure that one less AoE came off. So most of the time, only 1 or 2 were going off, and 1 or 2 flame buffets, not a big deal at all. 3 or 4, getting pretty scary.
You guys look like you had the worst job up there, whereas the ranged, we didn't even have to worry about threat. We're just like, oh, move over here now.
Well, what's crazy is on 2 attempts.
Oh, move over here
they
now.
looked like they were having a horrible job. Think about the healers who have to be in range of these tanks at random platforms and going from like, I'd heal Yip, and it's really strange, right? Like you feel like you're not in line of sight, but you are in line of sight, and like judging the distance. So like you try to back away, but then like you'd get too far, so you'd have to back up. I swear to God, the little guy would fly up, and I would just follow and like run to the other side. And by the time I got there, the tank was dead.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty nuts. It definitely wasn't like, but you have to be ready for it.
But Harskar came up with a good idea, like pretty quickly, where he just had 3 different healers, kind of like in one area, staying there instead of like moving with the whole group.
Yeah, it was one of those things that it was like healers had to be more ready. Like, there's no way we could have just. Healers had to be more ready. Tanks had to be more ready about where we had to stand to get healed, and then also be able to move to the next place quick enough. So it was sort of just like we just had to see it a couple of times, and that's really what it came down to. But after that, it really wasn't too horrible. My biggest concern is that we had like 4 or 5 deaths, and I was worried that the meteor effect would be too painful with missing like 5 people, but it really wasn't. We were able to heal through pretty reasonably, even with 5 people being dead. So Alar ends up going down. We got that troll trinket. Why would they name the hunter trinket Talon of like Alar or something when he drops 2 weapons that are literal talons that look like Phoenix talons? I think like every hunter was probably like, it's just our horrible trinket. So that was
the loot was awful, right?
The loot,
like we wiped so many times on that boss, and it was like, come on.
And then I was like, oh well, here's a cool little shaman piece, a male healing piece that actually looks really nice. Our brand new 70 shaman didn't need it, so that was Our holy paladin didn't need it either, so it was just like, okay, no loot off the first boss. So that was kind of a bummer, but that's fine. We know that Void Reaver is next, and Void Reaver, I think, is pretty classically known as the loot pinata of this tier. I think most people agree. And even back in the day, people would sneak over to Void Reaver and get the only loot that they could get out of the 25 mans. So we go over there. Again, trash is fine with some banishes and some sheeps. You're able to kind of basically just pull the bare minimum and nuke those things down, like pull one thing at once. That stuff does hurt. If you're not CCing, it was pretty nuts. Like we pulled 2, I forget what the mobs are called, but they're like the technicians. They're in Void Reaver's room and they throw bombs, and they just destroyed us. They just wiped us with bombs as soon as they came up, and we were like, okay. Pretty much everything we've learned is, pretty much everything we learned was to be careful on packs. But once you employed the right strategy, like, okay, banish this, banish that, I feel like it was incredibly easy. Like the trash, if I was gonna trash farm something, I would rather trash farm this than SSC. SSC feels like there's way more, I don't want to say RNG involved, but I feel like there's more work involved per pull.
Yeah.
If you're not, like, if you don't have a good CC system set up, and some of those pulls you can't CC down. So we head to Void Reaver. Bob wipes us at some point right before Void Reaver. You remember Bob?
I was going in for the for the banish pull and somehow got aggro on the wrong guy. Yeah, like I didn't feel like I was too close, but I guess I was.
Yeah, that was, I don't, yeah. I
all
think
the healers are sitting there drinking, and like all of a sudden there's all these mobs. We're like, oh my god.
Yeah, like Harskar goes, oh, we pulled. It's like, yeah, my bad.
Yeah, I mean, that sort of stuff, especially the first times you do it, is going to happen. At least you had to banish. It'd be funnier if you had like no reason to be up there. Just up there pulling, like, hey,
why
what's
not?
up?
Then I would be like the rogues in vanilla.
Right.
Rogues. They have to pull every pack once before they can learn. They need to like experience it. So we do Void Reaver, and so the strategy that we're using, Void Reaver, will shoot these like balls out and destroy people if they get hit by them, and it shoots it at ranged people. So we have everyone stack other than the hunters right underneath Void Reaver, and we have the hunters stand outside, sort of tanking the balls, but they have to move out of the way of them. Unfortunately, we don't do a very good job the first time. And we basically did the opposite of a strategy, whatever an anti-strategy is. We stood perfectly far away from enough that our whole raid could get hit by this ball.
Oh, God.
And we just got AoE'd down
2
in
balls,
like
right away.
Yeah.
Boom, boom.
We were just like, okay, that wasn't right.
What happened?
Yeah, we handed him the victory.
Well, I remember the first ball comes down and spell check goes, okay, that wasn't supposed to happen. Then the second ball comes and then we're like, boom, raid wiped. We're like, okay.
Yeah.
Luckily, it's not white protection, and we're literally all standing right underneath the box. Nope, sure don't.
Yeah. I don't really mind the TK run back. The fact that you get the fly is nice.
It's so
much
easier.
I had to get summon a couple times because I have a slow mount. So people would just see me not there and be like, summon them. I'm like 20 seconds behind. Come on. But
dude, I literally make fun of every horde that I pass because it seems like there's way more horde with the slow mount. And I'm just like /lol right as I go past them every time because they just look so doofy. Slowly getting it back up to the platform.
It's because they're too heavy. Their mounts don't ride as quickly, right? You know,
it's actually because Horde didn't have the concept of money until they stole it from the Alliance. Their economy exists thanks to us.
And they still don't upgrade those mud huts.
And they don't have the money. They don't have the their whole workforce is in their army, so they don't have their own Van Cleef to screw over. That's really what it comes down to. They have no labor union to ruin. But anyway, so we go into Void Reaver a second time, and I'm in my defense, I'm in the healer group. I'm gonna say that again. That was a little bit rough on threat because we tried to let our paladin take over threat at first. and I was trying to stay below him, but everyone just shot up immediately. So I'm sitting there with my swords, just trying to build. But honestly, like I don't know,
Dude,
but
the
it was
warlocks were
really
basically AFK the
yeah.
fight.
It was absolutely insane how little threat I can build not tanking. So next time I'm just gonna build as hard as I can and ignore, just absolutely ignore whatever our raid leader says. I'm just gonna go in there and tank as hard as I can. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But it seemed like even with only one tank on top for the most part, like not that many people were dying. It would be like every 20 seconds, 30 seconds, maybe someone would die. But honestly, it didn't seem like that big of a deal. Void Reaver ended up
Really?
being very easy. I mean, like we were like
Really?
fucking up. I mean, good job, healers. Is that what you? The healers rule.
Well, and
No.
then to top it off, we get done with the fight, actually, when we dropped it, and our paladin tank goes, "Yeah, guys, I know what the problem was. I had salve on."
Yeah, and it all added up a little bit. That all added up.
Was
I
that not the
didn't have
one that I died like a trillion times on?
That was the one you got battle res like 4
Yeah.
times.
No,
Oh, did that happen?
3 times. Okay, so here's the thing, is that I died, and then I get battle res. But when I get battle res, I only have like 5,500 health.
And you get
Okay,
killed immediately.
so then I heal. I'm like circle of healing. I do all my stuff. Die. Like the
You
first
died
meteor.
5 times.
Die. Yeah. Battle res again. Like every time I heard Harscar say battle res Mel, I was like, oh my god.
Please, please don't battle res me.
After we dropped it, she comes in the other room. She goes, "Did you see how many times I died?"
Oh my god. I was like, it's so bad. And I even tried to like battle res and put my fort on. Like, hey, this will help me. No. If you look at the death log, it says like Melorina dies 42 seconds that first time or something. And then it was like Melorina, 1 shot. Melorina, 1 shot. Melorina, 1 shot. And I was like,
This is awesome. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. You died 5 times. It's like you die, then you get rezzed 1 shot.
yeah.
And then you're
You know,
rezzed again, you die, rezzed 1 shot.
So Kim Jong like makes a good point in chat. You know, he had a straight full, or she had a straight full minute of uptime on Spirit of Redemption.
True.
Honestly, I don't want to say it was good, but maybe it was good. Like the amount of healing you got to do in Spirit of Redemption, maybe it paid off at the end of the day.
See?
But that's
Here
so
we go.
funny. I didn't know that happened at all. I was more focused on my threat. I was like eyeing that threat meter, hitting
Same,
devastate. Like,
yeah. So I didn't know it
please.
happened either because
was-
she came
it
in
was-
and told me later, and I was like, I was just trying to stay under Yip because he kept yelling at me.
It was also the fight that Harscar was like, Mel, stop pushing buttons. And I was like, stop pushing buttons? What do you mean stop pushing buttons? Like, I was like second on the threat meter. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll stop. It was really hard for me.
Yeah, the whole fight, it was like,
Wow.
Ozzy, stop hitting buttons. Harry, stop hitting buttons. FJ, stop hitting buttons. Bob, stop hitting buttons. Like it was just, like everybody
Yeah.
was creeping so
I-
Yeah,
high.
that just
I
usually
honestly
doesn't get
think-
said to Mel. That just usually
True.
Mel is not. It's not Mel. Stop pushing buttons. Circle of healing was
I think going ham. I think that's just the way to do it. Just
yeah,
go
just
ham.
battle res Mel.
Whatever.
Over and over again.
We'll just all go ham and see what happens.
Dude,
It ended up
ham
being
is always my
super...
favorite strat.
But that's what I mean. Like we have all these crazy things going on, and we just kill it. Like nothing really happens. Like it just dies over the course of that time. As long as you're not getting hit by those crazy balls getting shot out, I think most people are not going to have trouble on Void Reaver. We'll see next week. Maybe we'll figure out a way to wipe better next week and do it worse. But we did it pretty bad, and we were able to
I can find a way
succeed.
to die more.
Yeah,
So,
like
hopefully.
yeah, so I think most people are gonna find that fine. I way overpaid for my tier shoulders. That dropped off Void, but they're gonna help with Morgrim, and I'm a team player. You know, I'm willing to spend more DKP to make sure that we get stuff down. Just remember that when the Vash expertise belt drops, and give it to me. That's all
Mhm.
that's all
I
I'm
got-
asking for.
I got the boots from SSC, which was good. And then I forgot I
Nice.
got the boots. And Tuesday I was like, oh, crap, I have these boots. And so then I had to go get them gem enchanted. And then, oh, we didn't even mention the like arcane trinket that you need from the Kara quest. like it's in Dalaran.
Yeah, you gotta go to Dalaran for
Okay.
the
So it was one of those that like Bob and I did so long ago, right? And we were like, we'll turn that in next time we're over that way. Like we're ever gonna be
never.
over
Oh,
Dalaran
same thing.
way.
I had to turn that in that morning.
Yeah, same. I did it like 2 hours before raid. I was like, okay. I was like, Stoof, can you get me some gems? I'm on my way to Dalaran. It's great.
Yeah, Void Reaver, not too bad. We go finally, and our plan, we never really planned to do any KT attempts. So our goal was really getting 3 bosses down.
Mhm.
So we head over to Solarian. This is the Arcane boss that I got my Arcane Soaker set ready and done that day for me and the Paladin tank. I got 2 sets ready. We go in. I love it. What am I doing playing WoW when I can just stand to the side and watch other people play WoW? That was
That's
as fun. That was the highlight of my night.
that's how I feel the times that I die early on a boss. I'm like, ooh, I get some popcorn.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, oh, you fucked up there. Shouldn't have done that. Yep, up, bad. So just fucking up. You know, you're just catching all the shit that people are doing wrong. It's hilarious.
But for me, great boss. Super easy. We wiped once. I honestly, I just stand there. So maybe Mel will have the best information about how that fight goes. But I think in what our raid leader was saying, one of the big problem is that a lot of people are low health, like I was saying before. But then the arcane missiles can just destroy somebody pretty quickly. So it's really like healers pre-casting and stuff, I think can make a big difference. But Mel, what was it like from your point of view?
Um, I mean, actually, I think it was it was hard because everybody's taking so much damage, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of damage going out, and they're like, focus target the boss, and then you can target heal whoever he's targeting, right? I don't know if you know how often that switches, right? Very quickly, first of all.
Yeah.
Second of all, every time the boss like phases out and does his little thing, that focus goes away, at least on
It's
my
a
raid
her.
frames.
It's a
Maybe
her.
that's a whatever. Maybe it identifies as a he. I don't
True,
know.
true,
Like,
true, true. Stand
but
corrected.
what I'm saying is that that goes away. So I'd have to like refocus it. And my focus macro wasn't working. It's like whatever. But it got easier. The second time it was much easier. The first time I felt like it was just like everybody's health bars were going like vroom, 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 and it's like you'd start healing one and then they'd die and you'd go to heal the next one and then they'd be dead and you're like just a half a second behind, right? That was my
Yeah.
life that fight that first time. But yeah, I think we figured it out. I think Kim gave everybody a good macro that worked, and I think it went much better the second time. Was it
Yeah.
the second
Yeah.
time? Did we do it twice?
We did twice, and it did go much better the second time. And
Yeah.
I just like wasn't participating, so I wasn't sure
And
why. I was like, hey,
I have a question for our listeners too, because IDDQD, one of our GMs, told me that even though it doesn't show it on your character sheet, you can go negative resist. I want someone to tell me if that's true or not, because I was wondering if it was a good idea to actually wear the trinket, if like it's not going to be worthwhile after you get two
I'm not sure
stacks.
it's worth wearing the trinket. However, you definitely can go negative resist. I'm
Can
almost
you? Okay,
positive.
so it doesn't
Isn't
show that you're
I
negative
I think
resist,
I
but
think it just works like reverse spell pen, right? Like you're basically getting penetrated beyond
okay.
your resistance.
Because that's something
Um,
I did not know was a thing. I thought once you hit 0, there was no way to
I
go
mean, yeah,
worse
I
than
don't know
that.
for sure either. So don't get me wrong. I'm also looking for listeners to tell us differently.
Yeah,
The
because
other
if you're
portion of that,
if you're at 0 resist, you don't resist anything ever, right? Like it would only be a miss.
so resist has a portion of resist has to do with amount of damage taken as well too. So you have partial
True,
resist as well
true.
too. So it could be. I'll just say I never took more than like 666 damage, I think, which is weird. I have to look at the logs, but like it seemed to cap at some point. So there, like ID said, there's definitely no like infinite negative because I was like taking 500% more arcane damage and at like the lowest arcane I could possibly be, and then it capped, even though my stacks were still going higher. It looked like. So I think that there must be some cap, but I don't know what it is. It wouldn't surprise me if we decide to end up saying like, hey, let's just like kill it as hard as we can. But I think having that extra stam on the trinket as well too is another hidden benefit of just a lot of our casters were getting blown up pretty quickly. A lot of them are low stam. Having our healers with that macro plus having just having like a little bit more stamina so you're not killed as quickly, that combination seemed to work out good. So I mean, I don't know if it actually makes a difference.
I think
but
John
we did do it that
Wags will answer us in the comments on YouTube.
Yes, on YouTube.
Because he always tells us when we're wrong or right or gives us the information. So I'm looking at you, John, for the answer to this.
Yeah, so if we can get some specifics, that would be great. But overall, the fight ended up being okay. Again, one of those things that maybe a 6th healer would have helped with a lot. Having the 2 soakers, absolutely the way to go. We were taking, like I said, we kind of capped on how much damage we were taking, and we were able to be healed through that, no problem. So what's fine with that? You know, that was totally fine. I would not do any other strategy.
It's probably like for the rest of the group, it's probably just a DPS race because once you get a certain amount of stacks, but that's only the case if it does. Because I was just curious if the fight would be easier in the earlier stages if you know warlocks and people got just a couple pieces of arcane resist. You know what I mean? Also, there's a lot of arcane damage on the boss before the loot pinata. I wonder if that would be just a little easier with like just a handful of powerful pieces, just for raid healing in general. But I don't know. I'm just curious about these things.
It's definitely...
I'll wear my arcane trinket next week, mainly because I died so many times.
Who knows? We might say the opposite. And again, like we're always like, we kind of make our own way. We do a half and half thing where we look at some stuff, we decide to go and fight things a certain way. But we'll also look at logs and see what everyone else is doing. So like morning of, our scare is like, okay, I looked at logs and everyone is soaking. Let's do it that way. And we'll probably look at logs over this week. And if we see that the majority of guilds are not using any arcane resist on their other characters, we'll probably just say the same for our guild. That's usually how we roll. Let's see what slightly better guilds than us are doing, and then just copy that.
Yeah, and I mean, we specifically don't go into the PTR because we want to have this fun time when it comes out. We don't care if we're like first or anything. And I think even Melderon and Def Camp went to that. Like they stopped doing any sort of PTR stuff because it just makes it more fun when it actually comes out.
I will say the healer chat is getting more popular now because there's 25 of us, right? And so it's not just like you and one other healer that you could just whisper to instead of talking in healer chat.
I'm actually loving it because I tried to get warrior chat going back in the day, back in Classic, and it just never would kick off. And now I've got my little warlock group chat, and we just have a good time.
Yeah,
it's so much different.
Chat, I'm sure.
Yeah, my warrior group chat, it's really popping off in there. Yeah, it looks like most other guilds are not that trinket, so we'll probably just have you not wear it from now on.
What I will say is that our healers were all talking and we're like, this is really fun, right? Like, there's actually something to do. We're not all fighting over who can get the fastest heal off on these 2 targets that are going to take a little bit of damage.
Yep. And mechanics.
Actually, things to heal.
Mechanics are fun. They're coming. Like there doesn't seem to be a lot of mechanics you could just out DPS. You know what I mean? Like not like lots of them that are on timers, and it's cool. It's fun.
Yeah, no, I'm really enjoying raids right now. I want to get more Ogrim down, but I'm really excited to do progression. What about Mogre? Yeah, I mean, we could go back and do that as well too. There are a couple of decent trinkets in AQ and Nax that we really should be farming for our guild.
I've looked into that. That is actually a thing.
Yeah, some people are out there doing it, but it's been fun. I'm really looking forward to Vash and Kael'thas progression. I think it's going to be tough and it'll be interesting. The stuff that we've done so far has been really good. I think like we're at a good pace. We're not like overexerting ourselves. We're not dying in ways that like are aggravating. The progression has been like real progression and it's felt good.
Well,
getting bosses.
Hold on. There's one aggravating thing that we should probably bring up,
Mm-hmm.
and that's people need to just know when to wipe it up.
People need to wipe.
When the raid
Learn to
leaders say
knack.
wipe, run towards the boss and die as soon as possible. Don't try and outrun. I don't care if you're a rogue. If you live during when we say wipe it up, you've done it wrong.
Yeah. It can be frustrating when you're like, okay, let's wipe, and people are wasting like 5 full minutes, just like running to the front, things are running all over the place. Oh, don't zone in,
And then
we're running back.
other people zone in and die a second time because they did
Yeah.
it right and released immediately and died
Yeah, especially
immediately.
in TK, because when you release, you're immediately there and alive. It's very frustrating when people are running away and at the end of the day, like there really is no physical benefit. There's a repair right outside. We're all spending the money. It's not a
Yeah.
big deal. And it's something we learned in Nax. When we were trying to get Nax down to one night, I feel like we learned a lot of good rating skills, wipe things up quickly, get people up quickly. Like we learned a lot of like how do we go a little bit faster so that we can one night Nax. We just need to kind of relearn all of that. Because
Yeah.
we definitely are. I mean, we finished raid. Most progression raids we go after, but we got our 3 bosses down and we had like 10 minutes to spare or something like that. Where
Yeah.
if we had wasted 30 less minutes, maybe we get a more grim attempt in. Maybe we
Yep.
go see what's up with Kael'thas. So wasting that little bit of time, it all adds up over the course of a raid night, and it can mean you're actually getting less done.
And it also adds up in flash timers too. Like
yeah, it adds up in flash times. It adds up in everything. Better if everyone dies quickly and you get your attempts in very fast. And as Kim says, some people never got potty trained and they just don't know when to wipe. Thank you, Kim.
you read that before pre-reading it. All right, guys. Well, that was rating for the week. Let's move on to
That's it.
Yeah.
the news. All right, so Brew Fest is in. Unfortunately, I have not been able to get in on that. I've been doing a bunch of other stuff. Every time I am willing to get in one, someone asks, and the group fills almost immediately, and there's no spot for me. And so it's been crazy. But I know you've gotten to do some, Yip. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Because there's some really good rewards. Trinkets, a super, like a anytime ghetto hearth, like all kinds of good stuff.
I've done it a lot. So I will relay my experience here too. It's fun. It's really silly. You can do it as many times as you want per day. The amount of times that you can summon him, you can get loot from him, which is incredible.
But you can only do it if you have at least one person that hasn't summoned him that day.
Oh yeah, it's a daily quest to summon him. So you can do yours, and then as a tank, I can join another group of 4, and then just say I did my summon already and get 4 new ones as much as I want. So if you're like leveling something up, get it up right now because you can just get these badge trinkets for
they're
free.
exactly
So
the same,
easy.
and you could stack them, so you can basically have 2 badge trinkets for your PvP or PvE
so
setup if that works for you.
You can like back to back the attack power ones, so they're really good. So you have like all the badge ones plus stamina ones, and the stamina ones, they're pretty solid. So there's a healing one which I haven't played with too much, which looks okay. Maybe it heals like AoE 71 to everyone every tick or something, not insane. The DPS one does like 3,500 damage in a single trinket click, which is like not that bad for a tank. The problem is none of that goes to your threat. They have their own threat table. So you're not like generating that much damage of threat, but like it's a good amount of damage. It's like 100 DPS for the time that it's active, which is like 35 seconds. So 100 DPS over 35 seconds, popping that on High King is like that's actually like 100 DPS increase for me
that's crazy.
in that amount of time. So those trinkets are super good. But the trinkets aren't even, they're a highlight, but they're not the only highlight. There are the mounts, the Ram and the Kodo. They're dropping very frequently. I think anyone who's been doing it has seen them drop, at least in our guild. So it's anecdotal. I don't know what their drop percentage is. Wouldn't surprise me if it was as high as like 5% on a mount. Just based on how much I've been seeing. We've seen a few Kodos. We've got a few Kodos in the guild now. So that's pretty cool if you like
It
mounts.
says like 2% on Wowhead.
Yeah, we've
I
learned
can
to not
bel- I
trust
can
Wowhead though.
I can believe 2%, but that just doesn't feel right based on like what I've seen. How can like everyone I know have seen multiple Kodos when they've all have only done like 25 like runs? Like I've only done like
Because they
25. I've
haven't
seen
seen
3 mounts.
DSTs.
Exactly
They
right.
haven't seen
So,
DSTs, so they're getting Kodos instead.
but that's what I mean by anecdotal. It could be 2%. We're all getting really lucky, but it's been worthwhile going. And then Bob pointed this out to me. I hadn't even thought of this. I love my remote. We go straight down into BRD. We do our dire brew, and I'm like, hey, maybe I'll make this
Well, here,
little pub my hangout.
Tell anybody who doesn't know what the remote is. Because they might have seen it in Ultric Valley if they don't know what it is, and they might have found themselves in BRD.
It's the new portal. It's the new portal meta. But basically, it brings out this big drill, and it takes you right to the Grim Guzzler in BRD. So you're not going to like the entrance of BRD. You're going deep. You're going deep into BRD. You can hang out there. You could make that your guild hangout, huh? The Grim Guzzler, nice little dark iron tavern for you to hang out in. But that's what my thoughts were, right? I was like, oh, this is cool. Bob brought up, you can just click that from anywhere in the world in order to get a hearth. You can just be in a group, click it from anywhere. You don't actually have to go to Stockades, which I assume the Horde do something similar somewhere, like Ragefire Chasm or something.
Yeah,
but
Orgrimmar. Is it Ragefire Chasm?
It's Ragefire Chasm.
Yeah, there's one right in Orgrimmar.
So we use that to hearth back to Shotroth, but you could use this anywhere to go to BRD and then hearth back, which is actually huge. So it's its own little extra hearth. So you should really get on going and using that. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, it's huge because like
that's actually huge.
I utilize that hearth so much, like because I just use my hearth so often, and I always like you could go to Ironforge instead of Stormwind to do all your stuff if you have this, because then you don't have to have Stockades to get home.
Yeah, you don't have to think about going to Stockades. It's
only
super
like a
nice.
week and a half left of it. So like
really
short.
Oh yeah, we didn't say it's running till October
20th
6th.
to October 6th.
Yeah. So not super long. The good thing is though, you can grind it out pretty well. If you have alts, you can see a lot of drops before it's over. Just make sure you go do it. This podcast is out on like the 27th, so about a week and a half when you're listening to this. Go there, just do it every day. It's so easy. I think you can be as low as level 65, I think, in order to go in and summon. So you can actually get a lot more summons than you might think out of your alts that way.
Yeah, it's super cool. Also, just to like add on to that, they added the hand stamp to the Hooray Brewer hand stamp to the guy that you buy all the stuff from for Brewfest, and it basically allows you to buy the RAM for 10 gold for the I might be wrong. I know it's 100 gold for the epic mount.
Yeah,
but
I think
like
10 gold for the little one.
Basically just makes it so you get the RAM for sure, so they did add that in. I don't know if that was something in before. I don't remember that, but I did the, like, back in the real game, I did the Halloween event a ton. I never really messed with the Brewfest stuff, and so all this kind of new to me.
Halloween, I think, are pretty popular ones, right?
It all changes a lot later. I think people get a lot more, especially when achievements come out and you're looking at like total amount of mounts that are coming out. What a lot of people would do, and what came out is with looking for group or the group finder that comes out later, is when Dire Brew's on, you literally just press a button and you're teleported in to do your daily Dire Brew. So people are doing like Brewfest in that way, but I don't know how many people are like participating in Brewfest. But I think this is just a nice way that you can get your RAM if you just want to put the time and effort into Brewfest, because it's not that cool of a mount to be like RNG based. Hopefully you'll get lucky and win it, when I think they're just being nice and allowing people to farm it up themselves, which is I think fine.
For me, it was just like, back in TBC, like there just wasn't a ton of information. So I just really didn't realize how beneficial Brewfest was. And so I just don't remember ever really doing it. So yeah, this is definitely something worthwhile. So if you're like me and remember back in the day, you didn't really mess with it, like definitely mess with it. All right. Well, now it's time to get to Yip's Pitch a Bitch. Yip's Bitch. Yip's. I'm trying to think of a segment. But yeah, so basically, there was a lot of items missing from the drop tables in TBC. Like, there's multiple ones, but the one that's capitalized in the article we have is like the mage specific trinket from Morogrim Tidewalker wasn't dropping, but there was a lot of things. So Yip, you want to take that?
Yeah, so basically they came out and confirmed that there were items not dropping. They refused to confirm which items are not dropping, so that no one feels especially bad. But they were aware that some items were not dropping.
Yeah, you can
And
basically...
eventually they hotfixed it, which is nice. But there were plenty of lockouts that happened where some items just aren't on the loot table at all.
Why
And
even
the people
tell
that
us? Like, why
they
even tell
didn't.
us?
The community told them, because you went and looked at WoW logs and you're like, wow, these items haven't dropped for any raid.
Yeah, no one's
at
wearing
all.
these items.
Well, I mean, it's literally, you have the drops right there. They haven't dropped for anybody.
Yeah, so that's pretty upsetting, because I can't figure out what they were looking at on PTR that they couldn't have figured this one out. They couldn't have figured this one out. This one was a little bit too tough for them to piece together on their own. What is the point of a
anybody
PTR?
submitting complaints that these weren't dropping because they didn't know that they weren't dropping? Because
What is the point of a PTR? I'm just I don't know. I'm flabbergasted. I'm upset. It's upsetting. I actually have a bigger problem with the other.
And the PTR was open for like, what, 2 months, month and a half?
It was open for a while.
A long time. Like, long enough that they made the race to first pretty freaking boring, because these guys had practiced it for so long.
Exactly. You're gonna ruin that kind of aspect of like world first or the race to first by having the PTR open that long, but you're gonna leave in these like these bugs that to me seem like amateurish personally. But that's just me. The first thing I would look at when putting out old content is making sure that it functions the same way as it did back in the day. And loot seems like one of the
maybe
basic
this is just
things.
no
Big
changes,
things,
right?
right?
Maybe the first 3 weeks these items did not drop.
I just don't.
Oh yeah, they're trying to keep it real,
Mel.
Mel. They're trying to keep it real.
You guys, how pissed
Well,
off
back
would
in
you
the
have
day,
been,
there
though,
was a bug that didn't
how
do this,
pissed
so
off
we
would you
were
have been?
recreating this bug.
Are you done, Bob? Because I was talking first.
I
How
don't know
pissed
if you
off
were.
would you have been if their response was, back in the day, these didn't come out until 3 weeks after the release of
Yeah, where it's just
SCPK?
authentic. It's authentic.
No, that would have pissed me off. That would have been like, that's BS.
Well, it's just I guess my big problem with this is we're making fun of the PTR. This is not a PTR bug. Like, you bring a developer. A developer can kill these mobs 10,000 times to double check that loot is dropping from them properly. They have that ability. They are the developers of the game. They don't need to go raid it with 25 people to make sure loot is dropping. They can just go in, they can fly in, kill
One-shot
a
it.
boss over and over and check that the loot's working. To put something out where the loot just isn't dropping right, to me, and I understand they've got a lot going on over there right now, but come on, like,
Yeah.
this is basic. And to not know what items, and I'm sure you can do your research and find out what items are right. And I'm sure I could
just
do
don't
the
even
same.
know how this happens, I guess, is my thing.
Yeah, like what other spaghetti code are they just leaving in?
Right,
Or
like, did they just forget to put that into the algorithm?
how?
Like, oh.
Imagine you go dry on an item drop now, you'll never try Blizzard. I haven't seen a Prince dagger in 8 weeks. Like,
out of the
is it
algorithm,
even?
guys.
Yeah, is it even dropping?
Yeah, I'm
And
pretty
that's like the
sure.
level of trust we have now.
I'm pretty sure I've been blacklisted from daggers. So, yeah,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just
it's
yeah.
rough.
It
But then,
says Blazing Bob will never get this.
well,
It's
I did
sad.
upset certain Blizzard people, so
Okay, I gotta go on
beyond
to
the pet. It's not
I
beyond
gotta
belief.
go on.
That's not the only bug, though,
What
that
else we got?
came
Yep.
with this tier. And
Oh,
we
we have a
knew about
lot.
this bug. We knew about this bug while the World First was going on, that Kael'thas just drops threat. I think it's at like 30%-ish or something. He can just drop threat on the main tank. And yeah, it's something that they were working on fixing. Luckily, they have fixed it. Kael'thas and Lady Vash apparently both had a threat drop that they were able to fix. They fixed it yesterday on Thursday, it looks like, which is great. But there's something that bothers me a lot. And I could be reading into this. But if you look at their update from September 22nd, I think, let me just double check. Yeah, it looks like the 22nd, 9:22 at 8:08 p.m. 2021. I want to ask you a question, Bob. We'll have a little back and forth. When did these 25 mans release?
Originally, or
No, like in Classic. Like, how long ago did these open up for us to raid in?
8 days.
8 days ago. I want to ask you a question. In history, has anyone ever categorized 8 days as several weeks? Because in their update, they say, we've been working on this for several weeks.
Okay,
And it turned out to be a particularly tricky bug. But we're closing in on a fix. AKA, they knew!
so to be fair, they were probably saying that they were working on it on PTR, but their deadline was still get this going. But how tricky
they
can it
knew
be?
when
Like,
they-
I want some
when they made it
explanation,
live.
like inside baseball, of like what this code was that
Yeah.
was actually screwing you up on this. Like, because it seems like it'd be something that you could fix fairly easily as a coder, but I don't know. That's why I want the inside.
sorry.
Even if people don't understand it, give me inside baseball.
You're trying to tell me you want to have a legitimate world first race, right? The lords of Outlands are releasing. Who's gonna kill it? And you are aware that the end bosses have a bug that will wipe the raid. That people saw, by the way.
Just trying to make
No
it
one
more
in contention.
exciting.
No one in contention for World First saw this bug. I don't believe, from what we looked at. But there were people who went to Tempest Keep before SSC who did see this bug, who were in a quote unquote World First race, and they launched it without any like, hey, by the way, we're launching it broken. By the way, half the loot's not dropping. The end bosses don't work, and we know they don't work.
Hey, okay. I'm gonna try, even because I agree with you, but I'm gonna try to do the devil's advocate and be like, well, it made it a very exciting world first because who knows
No.
what's gonna happen.
I just never
It's just too
seen anything
random.
like
It's
this.
too
before.
random. If it didn't happen to certain people, but it did happen to others, is that what we're saying?
Yeah,
Like,
if it
didn't
happened
always
every
happen?
time. Yeah, it did not always happen. That's the problem. It was RNG. Like,
Yeah,
maybe
see,
you
that's
would
the
get
biggest
fucked up.
problem. Is
No,
like,
my biggest problem is they knew about it and they released broken content.
agreed.
Old content.
Yeah, I mean, I
Also,
definitely
we were
agree with
all-
you. I'm just trying
how
to do
many
devil's
people were-
advocate.
How many people were pissed about how quickly they said, hey, this is going to come out next week, right? Like, no
Yeah.
time to prepare, right? Like, everybody was mad that they didn't give us more time to prepare,
Oh,
right?
good point, Mel.
That all of a sudden it's like, yeah, you guys, we got to just like cut the cord, like, let's release it. Yeah, it's broken. It's fine, right? Like, how did that conversation go? What happened?
Well, luckily,
Well,
we're
New
very
World's
lucky.
coming out,
Yeah,
Mel.
I was gonna say, luckily, New World got pushed to the 28th, so they didn't have to release it as early as they thought they were gonna have to.
Yeah,
So
well,
New World comes out the 28th. I just, I don't know. I don't find this to be acceptable. I know it's little, but when I read that they knew about it, we've been working on this for several weeks, I just got mad. Like, they had no problem putting out broken content with no warning ahead of time until the race is happening. The PTR is up for 2 months. They give us loot that's not missing. Bugs that they know exist on the last bosses that they're not fixing because it's a particularly tricky bug. Back in my day,
You tell him, Jim Rome.
okay, I would actually love to say back in my day they fixed bugs, but back in my day of WoW, it was unplayable on Tuesdays, so I guess I'm still overall happy with with how they've improved. Back you used to, I don't know if you guys remember this, but no, like Tuesdays would be aggy,
Oh.
like the
Yeah, it
servers
was
would
like
be
Oh, and
walking to
also-
school
breaking.
uphill in the snow both ways. Like,
Yeah.
walking to
Literally-
school in the snow uphill both ways.
You'd be sitting there Tuesday and you're like, kept trying to log in. You've got like your like server monitor up and you're like, when is it going to come back up? There was never any time scale. Like now they try to do time scales, but like there was never, it was just like, it'll be up when it's up type of deal. And you're just like waiting and jonesing.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that's my whole rant. I want an official apology from Blizzard. I want them to acknowledge they released this content knowing that there was a massive bug on the end bosses. I don't want them to sneak it in to a blue post where I have to read between the lines. I want them to admit what they did. Tell us what they did to us, okay?
Either that or don't tell us anything.
Yeah, they
Right?
should
Like,
not have put the several weeks
I'm
word
sorry,
in.
but like the several weeks, somebody needed to edit that post and say, absolutely not. We have known about this since the first, just be vague, right? Don't say several weeks. Just say, we are aware of this problem. It is a specifically tricky bug, right? Like, do not give me the information if you're not going to own up to it. Like, now it just makes us angry, right? Like, if you would have just said, we know about this problem, it's tricky, we're fixing it, and we think we found a fix. Fine. Everybody would have been fine with that. But no, you said we've known about it for several weeks.
Basically,
And now
It's
you're done.
transparency in the bad way.
What
Yeah.
it boils down to is Blizzard used to be the king at releasing things right at the time other games were releasing things. And they're not that company anymore. What they should do is get back to the roots, put the stuff out when it's ready, stop worrying about other games, worry about your game, and get the shit right. Because there wasn't just that. There was even more. All like Ogri'la, Shatari, Skyguard quests, tons of them were broken. Tons of the ones just to get into starting were broken. Like there was mobs that you couldn't kill. There was tons of stuff wrong with the daily quests, and it makes me happy that I didn't do them that first week because they have since said that they've fixed them now. But like at the same time, how frustrated would you have been if you tried to do it with a ton of other people trying to do it, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, I can't do it, you know? And so this
Right.
whole release was broken, and we give Blizzard a lot of passes, but we're not giving you a pass here. Like, do better. Stop
If
worrying
this-
about other games.
If this was classic vanilla, I think huge pass. They're delivering us a product that is new, they've never had before. They're doing something for us.
And there's
it's not
no
like that anymore.
transactions.
You sold, yeah, exactly. You sold us a deluxe edition. You have monetized this game. Now you
Yep.
owe us a working game.
Yep.
Before, you were doing us a favor. Wow, classic
Right.
WoW. They're putting out classic WoW. How nice of them.
And you
now
get it
you
for
have
your
our money.
your subscription price. Blah blah blah.
Exactly. Now you have our money. I expect better than like an early access scam. Like
Right.
yeah. I mean, it's just not. It's a bigger team. It's just not. And I'm sure I hope they know it's unacceptable. I hope a lot of this has to do with just what's going on over there. I wouldn't feel super stoked about getting this content rushed out with what's going on over there. I hope it's all of that, and that we see in the future that this doesn't keep happening. But let's
Right.
say next release happens in a similarly broken way. I think that like there needs to be some sort of like we need to talk about that.
I will give Blizzard a little bit, like, I will say, I do believe that they're going to do better on the next release because I feel like this phase 1 and phase 2, just for anybody who still doesn't know, that was phase 1 and really the
Yeah.
first patch of TBC, and they tried to split it out, and they've made a whole bunch of missteps with different metagems, things that were in the game that weren't supposed to be, things that weren't in the game that were supposed to be, all kinds of different stuff. And so hopefully with, and I have to give it to him because like I've went back and delved in and tried, before TBC came out, I was trying to tell you guys what was going to be here at the start because there's so much misinformation on the web and everything else. So I'm hoping that they'll be able to just really have the code that goes to the next phase because it should be a lot easier on them.
Yeah, they don't have to like artificially gate content, so
Yep.
it should go better. And I agree. Listen, like the pre-patch was super shaky, but not in a like it's Blizzard's fault way. The launch was like early, but overall I thought it was pretty stable and good. So yeah, if another tier of content comes out this broken though, it's gonna be a bigger rant.
Yep, I want to tell you this because I don't know if you know it. You know how it was supposed to be out an hour and a half prior?
Yes.
Okay, do you know why it was pushed an hour and a half?
I don't think I know.
Turns out the Chinese servers their weekly reset was at that time. So if it would have launched at the time that they originally said, then the Chinese servers would have had a chance at double loot.
Huh.
Because they would have had a raid reset an hour and a half later.
Wow.
Isn't that hilarious?
That is crazy. What did they say?
What
did the little note say?
How did they not see that?
Unforeseen circumstances?
Yeah, unforeseen
that
my
actually
ass.
makes sense. Yeah, that actually makes sense. Like, they're like, well, we didn't see that one. we
Okay.
Literally did not.
Maybe it was
that
literally
one.
they didn't see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And because for anybody who doesn't know, Blizzard China is actually run by a different set of people, completely different. And so they probably called him up and were like, dude, you can't do this. And they're like, why? They're like, because we're resetting our servers in just like an hour. Oh.
Yeah. I feel like people in China did not call and were like, hey, don't do that. We're going to have double chance at loot.
No. The people that run Blizzard in China. Yeah, it's like it's a different company that basically pays them a percentage.
Yeah, so I can see them overlooking that. That's kind of like silly, I guess.
That's acceptable.
I don't mind. I should have known because it only was an hour and a half delay. I was like, wow, it's actually up with only one delay. That's so crazy. So yeah, I guess it wasn't a technical problem.
Yep, Kim Jong makes a good point in chat. Blizzard didn't notice all of these bugs for phase 2 because they were busy turning women into fruit.
Oh well, yeah, that's very important.
Hey, that's the more important thing. So at least
feel
they
like
got the more important thing done.
I think it's fine. I think some of this can be fine, some of the censoring and whatnot. But I feel like some of the stuff that I've been seeing on Reddit, like the women getting turned into fruit stuff, it's one of those things where it's like, to protect women, we must erase all women. Like, we'll no longer have women in the game.
Yeah. Or shaming them for showing their bodies. Like, we're going back to the 1940s.
Yeah, it is a little like, it is what.
Oh, you were so disconnected, Blizzard. Just stop harassing your female employees. Like, how about you start there? All right, but we don't want to get on that tangent.
I don't, but yes.
All right, let's move on to discussion. So, guys, there's a reason we can't have nice things. And that's because honor's dead. People suck. And any advantage people can get, they're going to take. So recently, we'll put some links in the chat so you guys could get some more in-depth views on what happened. But basically, a huge ban wave of the top 5% of arena players across Oceania, EU and NA got mass banned. A ton of them happened. Turns out there was a ton of piloting. If people don't know what piloting is, it's when somebody either logs into your account for you and plays for you, which is something you can get caught super easy. So not a ton of people are doing that. But what you could also do is remote desktop into someone's game and play for them. And so therefore there was a ton of people doing this and boosting. On
Why does
top
that
of
make a
that,
difference if you're logging into their account or remote desktoping in?
well, because logging into an account, they could see that all of a sudden you went from an IP address from Kansas to an IP address from China,
Okay.
or EU. Like basically you just logged in a different part of the world in 5 minutes. It's not like
Both
you're
are
on vacation.
bad. Both are
Yeah.
bad.
I
One is
mean,
just
I
easier
have
to
a
get caught.
teleporter in
A,
my bedroom,
a
so
lot of
that's fine.
people think that like you can't catch the remote desktop stuff, but when you install World of Warcraft, like they can pull logs of third-party programs you are using. That's how they crack down on you not multi-boxing. So they could also see that you're remote desktoping with third-party programs. So these bands went through and banned like a huge portion of Oceania players, a very big portion of EU players, and surprisingly, NA was like the smallest amount of bans, which is weird to me because the stereotype of the USA is like, we take advantage of everybody, you know what I mean? So it was
The
weird.
only I you might have more lead into this. I do want to push back on that though, because in like other games with boosting, I actually feel like NA isn't as bad as like Europe and like Korea,
Yeah.
where social status is like what rank you are, where it's like cool to get boosted in Overwatch. Whereas like in America, if you can't do it on your own, I kind of feel it's like you kind of are like
Like,
it's very
cool,
pathetic.
dude.
Yeah, like that's
Yeah,
like the
it's
most
definitely
pathetic
like
thing. But I
we
hear in like
definitely
Korea,
look down upon it really
yeah,
bad
like in
here.
Korea, it's super common to pay someone to like boost your Overwatch account or something, um, in order to just like have that status. Or if you can't play like it in America, I don't know, and maybe that culture has to do with it, as well too, because there's enough players in NA that if they could cheat, they would. Um, it could also be population though too. I know I had mentioned a week or two ago that Oceania was doing some weird things just because the server size is so small. They have a much larger ability to like affect what's going on there.
The
So I'm
Oceania actually went above and beyond. The top players in Oceania basically did what everybody did back in vanilla, where they would say, okay, the cap for this week honor is 600K. They were doing that with arena rating and saying the cap is this, and so everybody would push to that. Then they jump off and start boosting other teams up to that, and that is according to the rules. Okay, the people that were banned supposedly were all piloters.
piloting.
Yeah.
Yeah, boosting on the same team is okay. I mean, it's something that I did back in the day, just not to this level of skill. I
Yeah.
actually am okay with team boosts personally. If it's like 3v3 and you have two gladiator people boosting one bad player all the way up, to me it's sort of like if you're so much better than the competition, you can take one bad person.
Yeah.
Fives is a little bit weirder. Maybe fives I need to think
Yeah.
about. But in twos or threes, if you're boosting one really bad player up, it's like your own skill has allowed you to do that
Yeah.
to that level. But when you start piloting other people, we're talking about something
For sure.
entirely different.
Entirely different.
100%. And in threes, if you've got one really horrible player, a lot of times
Depending on their
that
role.
horrible right, but that horrible player is basically putting you at a 2 to 3 advantage or disadvantage, right?
Yeah.
And so you have to be that much better than the other team, and that's fine. Like I'm not as worried about that, but yeah, I think piloting is where I get a little like
I think the big thing is it just depends on who your booster is. Like, when we play with Casimo, who has been on the show, and he jumps on our fives team definitely does a lot better. But just imagine if we had one of the people that were the top 0.05% of the game. We're talking your Michael Jordans, your LeBrons, your Patrick Mahomes. Like, you have that caliber of player, literally they could just probably 1v2 a lot of the matches that they would boost you in the lower
Right.
brackets. And so that's where it's just like, you know. So I do get it. Like
I think
it's
the
kind of
bigger
sucks.
I think a really big problem with the Oceania service is, again, because they have a small amount of players. What they were able to do is basically artificially inflate how high these ratings are going, making it almost impossible for regular people to compete. So you
Yep.
basically you're playing to 2,800. You drop, you play other teams 2,800. Drop other teams 2,800.
Right.
Now only you are controlling the top portion,
Yeah.
right? Someone
Yep.
tries to
And
come
they
in.
all
well,
work
there's no one to
together to
play.
do it too.
First,
All
first
like
of
the
all,
top players.
exactly. We're not talking about one person. We're talking about a bunch of people. And all of a sudden, there's no one to play you anyway. So even if you
Right.
are slowly grinding up, you're eventually going to hit the point where it's only these people
Yeah.
who are on boosted teams or boosted.
Yep. You're talking about
And
the
it-
PvP mafia.
yeah, and if there's just
Well, and I
no
think you only
way.
have that if there's a small group of people.
Exactly.
Right?
You can
Like,
only
I think
do that.
in NA, it's so spread out. Like, there's no way. First of all,
Yeah.
we're way too like arrogant to say like, "Hey, we'll collaborate with everybody so that we're, all at the top," right? Like, come on, nobody's doing that here. But yeah, I don't know. I also thought I heard something about them like, and is this the same thing? But them like trading wins.
There was some win trading with certain people, and
This
they did talk
Yeah.
about it on streams too, which was like, I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't have the links to show people. A lot of the stuff has been since deleted, so I could tell you that I saw it, but I'm not gonna say it's
Well,
definitively a fact because I
I
can't.
think the
I
win
looked for it
trading-
before the show. Like I looked for all the clips I'd saw in the prior week, and they've all since been removed.
Yeah, I think the win trading was the initial, like, this person got banned. They said it was because I think someone said it's because they like weren't win trading that they
That
got
was
banned and
yeah.
were
That
mass
was
repeated.
that was
But
CMD.
I think that all this was really this other stuff we're all realizing, but it was all just
Right.
like early news. We're like, oh,
It
some
must be
Oceanic
win
people are
trading,
getting
right?
banned.
Yeah.
They think it has something to do with win trading, but now it's coming out. All these players were piloting. All these
Got it.
players were boosting. They're making these artificial like floors of ranking rating points and stuff. So there were like all these issues that are
That's
coming out.
nutty.
Yeah. So I mean, I can understand. I guess if you have a small enough community that you'd be able to get away with it, people are gonna do it. I guess.
They're gonna
Like,
do it if they can, right? I guess they
yeah.
can't anymore. So
Listen, if someone came to me and said, "Hey, I can get you to Glad this season for free," I'm gonna say yes. So of
okay.
course, there's gonna be someone who's gonna do it for
Well,
some amount of money.
the
involved.
sad part is that the piloting can still go on because the people piloting, like they probably didn't
Yeah.
catch those boosters. They're like,
Yeah, you'd have to hardware ban them or something.
yeah,
there's
like
no
so
way.
they could just
But
jump
they're
on
catching the
and get
people-
other people's accounts banned. So I want people to
Yeah.
know that this isn't something you should invest your money on because. I'll link the video, but Willie did a video and he makes a good point. They probably don't have the best refund options for you. So, like, you're taking a chance with your account, and if you're trying to get those types of things, you probably really love your account. So I would say just if you just don't do it. And the problem is that if a bunch of people do it, then like you said earlier, all of a sudden none of the other people can actually attain the goals. And that's why I started it out with saying this is why we can't have
Yeah.
nice things.
I
It's a
think
lot
the
like
way they
buying
handled
gold.
it.
It's a
I think
lot
the
like
way
buying gold, right?
Yeah, it is really similar to buying gold. I'm sorry, I'm trying to sneak in a RuneScape reference. That's why
I
I'm
know.
so
Go
eager.
ahead. Go ahead.
It's very common in RuneScape for this to happen because the skill differentiate, like the difference in skill between the top players and the worst players is so huge. Like a normal player who like you can't just go fight a boss and win. It's like they have these insane patterns you have to memorize. You have to learn exactly where to walk, when to walk. So you can just pay people. And the problem with that game is they'll be like your best cape in the game is only
Willie.
achievable.
Yeah, Willie mentioned that
Oh, does
cape
he in his video?
in his video.
So the only way to get the best cape in the game is going through the most ridiculously hard trial that ever existed. So the previous best cape in the game was this insane boss you had to solo over like 60 waves of mobs. And you can't die once, and you kill it. Then they came out with like, now you have to fight 3 of them at once, and this other thing. So it's like rampant that people are piloting each other's
Right.
accounts. And I think they do something awesome. I don't even think they ban people who pilot. They just take the thing away every time. So you got your cape, you paid $500 for someone to do it for you. Whoop, it's gone.
Guess what? You don't have it anymore.
Like, I almost wish they didn't ban these people, and all they
That's
did was
true.
take away all their rewards. Delete their arena gear,
Yeah.
delete their titles, don't let them get
Put 'em back
gladiator.
down to 0.
And it's like,
Like,
no one will pay for these services if they know that they'll just
That's
ruin
true.
everything.
That
for
was kind of
themselves.
like our guildie who bought gold and then had to walk to Karazhan.
Yeah, you're shamed. You're publicly shamed.
Literally had
done,
to
as
walk
opposed to
to
ban.
Karazhan because we'd already started. And there was
Yeah,
no way
like,
to
it's-
summon outside with the horde out there.
That sort of
Oh my
stuff, I think, is really funny. Because again, and especially with the ban stuff, again, the piloters are not the ones getting banned.
Yeah.
It's usually the people just buying the service, which I don't want to say I feel bad for these people, but especially in Oceania, maybe this is something that's super common. Maybe it just doesn't even
Or it's the
seem
only
weird.
way to,
Right.
like,
If that seems like
get
the only way
past
to get
that
in,
hump, right?
yeah. I mean, I don't want to say I feel bad, but like if someone bought gold once right now and they got a 6-month ban, I'd feel bad for them because they heard how everyone buys gold and stuff. And like,
Right.
so like, it would be pretty crazy to just be like a normal person who lost their account to someone who like sold them a piloting. I wish that piloters had some sort of like recourse. I know like in Overwatch League, what was his name? Someone who was on the Philly Fusion, Sato. He got like
Sato
he had
and
his like
OGE.
yeah, they had to like not play in the Overwatch League to begin with because they were caught boosting other
Yeah.
people.
Yep.
So
Just
I mean, they're
a heads
definitely
up, Sato is not a very nice person. I've interviewed and talked to him in real life, and he's not a very nice person. OGE, on the other hand, super nice, awesome dude. Both of them boosted. So
OG was on Texas, right?
Fuel. Dallas
Fuel?
Fuel.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you're
And
clearly biased.
then he went to
Yeah, he is.
Gladiators.
100%.
Then he went to God. Who's he on
Burn.
now?
Burn blue.
Yeah.
But your boys in blue burn blue.
Okay, but one thing I will say is that I do think you touched on a good point, Yip, is that I think that we need to identify like the intervention that they've been using on banning people is not effective, right? Like people at this point in time have multiple accounts, they have multiple things. 6 months, they're like, oh, okay, I'll work up an alt and I'll come back, right? Like maybe there's like that random person that's like super upset about it and like really mad, but they get it back in 6 months, right? If you were one perma banning people, which they're not going to do because they want the money, right? But the thought of just taking something away that they got
I like
boosted
that.
to get is amazing. The problem is that I don't think that with the massive community that they have that they can be that on top of it without the right resources. But I
Yeah.
think you do it for 3 months where you do it to every single person. You hire temporary people and you say, "You guys are here to catch this. Every time you see this, you take it out of their inventory." And they can submit complaints, and I'm sure there will be 1 or 2% that are like, that wasn't correct, right? But the majority of them are going to be correct. And then for 3 months straight, you do it, and then you do it every month for 3 months, and then you do it every 2 months for 6 months, and then like fade it out, right? But the problem is that they're continuing to implement the same interventions that are ineffective and
Yeah, I mean, I don't
thinking
see.
that they're
I mean,
working.
other than the fear of losing your account, like I don't see how this stops anyone from being piloted next season. I guess.
Yeah.
I guess that's my point. Like I don't really see anything changing here.
Well, I mean,
I don't
they
know.
were all 6-month bans though, so it
Oh
won't be
yeah,
next season.
but that's true. Well, yeah, that's true. Unless they have other accounts to be piloted. I
Which
guess
a
is
lot of
the
people do, and I think that's what Willie pointed out in his video is
yeah.
that a lot of people have different characters on different servers to play different arena times, right? Like, and I just don't think it's going to affect them the way that they feel it does.
The top end of our arena people, like we had Casimo and Snowby on. The top end of arena people are freaking psychopaths.
There's
like,
so many characters.
Yeah, they have. I'm like, I got 3 rogues, got 2 mages. Like, it's just like, what are you doing?
It's super intense.
And again, they didn't get banned. Those people that are boosting people did not get banned, or those people that are remoting in did not get banned. So they are going to continue their trade with people that didn't get banned. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Kim says just start filling their bags every day with one unsellable or movable gray or unmovable gray item. I like that. Just weigh them down slowly.
Or
slowly decrease their movement speed by 0.1% every day.
Oh, man. All right, well, do we have time to hit on the crazy new private servers coming out?
I don't think so. Maybe.
I mean, I don't have a ton to say about them.
I guess that's my also.
All right. So basically, like, the reason I want to bring this up is just because we know Blizzard listens to Warcraft Reloaded, and we want to give them some ideas of just fun little things for seasons. So the first server, these 2 servers are very different. One of them is in alpha, and the other one is supposedly coming out soon. So the first one is Ascension. So this one just has crazy server rules. They have different servers that do different things. Like, so basically, I can't even do this concise, really. Like,
yeah, it's like old school private server, not in like we're trying to recreate WoW, but we're taking the assets of WoW and creating our own game out of it.
Yeah, like a brand new thing.
Like think of like StarCraft modding, where they're able to make like RPGs in StarCraft because they they're able to do so much.
So on one of the server types, like, you log in and just immediately get like 3 random cards that you could pick from. They're moves. You can have any talent from like any tree. You can have any move from any tree. You have rage, energy, mana, and health. Like, you have all of these different things.
Randomness to it, though, right?
It's a roguelite.
Yeah.
So it's a roguelite. If you play games
basically,
like this, where you're going through the game, gaining more abilities and skills that are randomized.
Yeah, and it looks really cool. They also have the hardcore mode. They have a mode where you could actually lose your gear if you haven't insured it before you came out. So whoever kills you gets your gear. Like, it's crazy.
Which is like that game that you always talk about, Bob.
Ultima Online. Like,
yeah.
Ultima Online, like when you would die, your stuff would drop.
MMO that they like, and they've like put them all together.
Yeah.
Right? They've also implemented like seasons, which is like what we've talked about before of having seasons. And I don't know, I guess my biggest feedback on this is that this all looks great and this all looks wonderful and fine, and I think it would be a great game. My problem is you're doing a WoW private server with this. Like,
well, just to let you know,
different game.
Just to let you know, well, maybe, but like they're doing it in places where they won't get in trouble with Blizzard, and their Discord server has like 16,000 people in it. It's not like
are they making money off of it?
Aren't big. I don't know that.
They must not be. Yeah, they can't
be because it's copyrighted material, right? Like,
I think they did say right at the start, like, no pay to win. So it's just people.
Yeah.
There's people probably trying to like showcase. It's young people probably trying to showcase, skills in game development, because what they've done is they've really made, like, I've watched, like, I haven't played it, and I'm not going to play it. Like, I'm just bringing this up because I want, like, Blizzard to kind of look at these types of different things. But, like, I'm just not a private server guy, so I'm not going to play it. Plus, if I played a private server, I'd probably lose all my opportunities at Blizzard to have, press passes and everything.
You'll ruin the game too. I don't want to say this like this, but you'll ruin the game if you play WoW on a private server where you move like 25% faster, you'll
Mhm.
never be able to play WoW again.
100%.
You
Which
turn
is-
the cheat modes on, and
Which is probably what happened to Hamster Wheel. You know, we had him on last week, like, and it's just like you'd have less time. Like all of a sudden that becomes good. But these ideas are really neat for the type of thing Yip has talked about with seasons. Like,
They're not new ideas, though. This is the thing, is that they're not new ideas. They are ideas that a bunch of the population has brought up before, whether it's Yip with like seasons or, you know, Bob with Ultima Online or hardcore mode, right? Like these are all things that are already in place that they're just putting into the game. And
yeah,
I think that that's amazing, right? But at the same time, like, can't you just make a new game? Like, you've got a good game. Like, why make it a WoW private server? I don't know.
art
That's just
costs
my
a lot of
thought.
money.
well,
I
It
we
does,
okay.
yeah.
think that might.
We will.
Maybe I'm like merging them into one, right? The two of these that we're going to talk about. So Bob, go ahead and talk about the second one.
Yeah, we'll put the link in the description for you to check it out. But Ascension seems like, I mean, like just watching the YouTubers that have made like great videos on like what you can do, and definitely check those out because they're really good. It just kind of like made my mind go a little bit too much. Like it's almost like they're giving you too many options right at the start, whereas I'd rather a season just changes every time. That's what I kind of want Blizzard to do. But the next server is kind of like it's called Revelations. It's kind of like if anybody's heard of Oblivion, Sky Oblivion, which is basically people remaking the Elder Scrolls Oblivion in the Skyrim engine, and they're just like redoing everything graphically. So that's what this next one's doing. They're literally remaking Ogri'la, Stormwind. I mean, it actually looks more like a actual city would, like their
Yeah,
different stuff. I mean, it looks really, really cool. And they're actually redoing all the art, everything. And it's interesting because like that would be something that would be kind of cool for the classic team to do too, because the best storylines are early on in World of Warcraft. Like it gets all crazy later on, like with old gods and everything else and big swords stuck in the planet, like, you know. So
yeah.
it'd be
I
kind
mean,
of cool.
what's cool about this is it's not just like, hey, let's put on new textures like they have in Warlords of Draenor, where they came out with like, hey, everyone looks different. It's like we're redesigning the city as too. The Dwarven district, it's gonna look different now. Like this is what the Dwarven district should look like. And what's cool about that is like it's because like Stormwind and all these things were built a long time
A
ago.
long time ago.
And like they were hindered by technology back then. There's a lot of things going on where it's like this is what Stormwind looks like. And if you look at like Warcraft 3, if you look at Warcraft 2 and Warcraft 1 and go back and look at the maps at how everything changed so drastically in just a short amount of time, from like Stormwind is actually just a keep, now it's a city, you know, like all these things change so drastically. You kind of wonder, like, is this like their final iteration? Is this really what the Stormwind looks like to them,
Or
or
is
is
it
this what
what
they
they
came up with?
had
That's what
settled
they ended
with?
up with then, and like, yeah, like maybe they'll add a harbor in Wrath of the Lich King, but they're not going to do a
Right.
fundamental redesign of the city. But this is what they're attempting to do with Revelations.
Yeah, and it just looked neat because the Sky Oblivion stuff, like, it looks really neat to me, but it's been taking forever to come out, you know, and so like,
Yeah, it's a big project.
but yeah,
Well,
this
and
looked cool
again,
to me.
though, like, I hate to be the bearer here. Like, I think that the idea is amazing, right? But you're pigeonholing yourself into, and maybe it's your marketing tool, right? Like you take something you know and you show what you can do with it, and then you get a job from somebody else. Like I understand that, but I guess you did pay for the art, like, or you had somebody that could do the art, right? Like why not
I
create?
mean, honestly,
I'm
what's to
actually
stop Blizzard from just taking the art that they make?
Well, I'm actually gonna stump in there, and I could be wrong here, but looking through it, I think they're retexturing everything.
Yeah.
But I think that the models, like the base models, are probably the same. So they
Yeah.
probably are retexturing and not like 3D modeling all the assets. And
No,
I
the
could
assets
be
are
totally wrong.
yeah, the assets are all the same, but they're like Stormwood is way more spaced out, like a actual
Yeah, they space it
marketplace
and they
would
texture
be and
it
stuff.
better. But I mean, listen, this I feel like all comes down to personality because some people don't they're probably just passionate about it. They might just want to do it and
That's
that's why
fair.
they're doing
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
I think that
For
that's
sure.
the only if you try to like yeah. I personally could not undertake something this large knowing that it's like you're putting all this effort in and it can just disappear because it's not
It's
not
not
yours.
yours.
Yeah, and that's what
Yeah.
I
Right.
was like kind of pointing out. Since they used all of Blizzard's assets, could Blizzard not just copy everything? I guess they would
What?
have to have someone sell them. They could act like because they couldn't just get. They would have to have somebody leak the code to them, but they could maybe buy it from these guys.
They might be able to sue for it, and be
Yeah.
able to actually have it. But it kind of reminds me, and I don't have a conclusion to this story other than what I know, so it might be not that exciting. But Titanfall had this issue recently where like their servers were super broken and they were struggling to fix it, and they had a random dude hacked them, looked through like their code, and then sent them the code to fix it
Holy
in
crap,
order to
dude.
fix their game.
I haven't
And
played
apparently it worked a
Titanfall in
little bit.
forever.
They banned that guy though.
Oh man.
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah, because it was like you can't do that. They were like, you
I
can't
bet
do that.
nobody
at the same
wanted
time,
to.
Thanks,
like-
though.
They probably had to legally for reasons. The same reason people come after people for copyright because they
'Cause then
have to, or else they'll lose copyright.
Well, we'll have next time they try to like sue the next guy who does it, and they'll be like, well, you didn't sue the first guy. He didn't.
Yeah, that's
It's a
fair.
bummer. It's a
You-
bummer.
But yeah, so I don't know. It kind of reminds me of that, where it's like you have all these people putting all this effort and time. At least steal it, Yeah,
Well,
like at
and
least steal
my
it.
problem is that they're not going to buy it from these people. They're going to sue
Yeah.
them and get it from these people, right? Because these
The
people
only
are
way
profiting
these
off of
people,
their.
the only way these people are getting the servers up is because they're in a country that they can't do that. Probably Russia.
Right? Yeah, that would be the other.
So
I mean,
they can't sue them because Putin's like whatever.
Yeah, we gotta really. I mean, I know we talk about
they can
Activision all the
stop it
time.
from being. They can stop it from being accessed in the U.S. though.
Yeah, they'll be able to do
Maybe.
some stuff. They'll
But
be able
yeah,
to do
but
some
then
stuff,
you could
but-
just get a VPN that accesses from Europe. Like it's
Yeah,
really
but the
pretty
effort
hard.
level of that, like,
Putin hasn't done
VPNs are
anything good
pretty
for
easy.
WoW in 10 years at least.
All right, well, guys, that's gonna end out the show. But we do have an add-on of the week. So this week, the add-on of the week is something I probably should have had years ago, and I just recently got it from Kim Jong-un because he shared a screen, and I was like, what is that add-on you have? Oh, no, he sent me a screenshot of his stuff at the auction house selling for way more than it should have, and I was like, what is that chat add-on? And the add-on is Prat, P-R-A-T. And it's awesome. It changed. I think you could actually do it in game, but it changed the size of the font in my chat. It shows me all kinds of extra information. It cuts out stuff you don't have to, like when you're in general chat and it's like the name of the general chat is like 2 miles long. It just cuts that to 2 because that's chat 2, and it just makes things a lot easier. It pulls out names and gives them the color of the class. It saves your chat for when you log out and log back in. So
That's always nice.
yeah, every time you're just about to log out and you hit /log out and you get a big long tell and you're like, who just sent
Yeah.
me a tell? Well, you log back in and it's right there. No matter when you log back in, you know who sent you a tell. It's an awesome program it's an awesome add-on I should have had a long time ago. And it does timestamps. There's all sorts of good things it does.
I'm excited to see if this helps Bob actually read his chat now. I wonder if
actually
he'll
does.
actually read.
Did you see? I was actually
Although-
talking in Raider chat this week, and it was because of that. Because I was actually able to see, and
I have to
because
think. I would have noticed. That's funny.
and if people say my freaking name, it changes the color. I'm like,
Oh, yeah,
someone's
yeah,
talking
yeah.
to me.
Okay,
That's funny.
but to be fair, Bob logged on, or I logged on to Bob's computer on my character, and then I logged on to my computer on my character, and all of a sudden my chat was really like small, and I was like, "That's weird. What just
Oh,
happened?"
yeah.
Because it
And I looked
changed
at
her base
Bob,
font
And
settings.
I looked at Bob and I go, "Bob, what is going on?" And he's like, "Oh, it's Prat Chat." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, you downloaded the add-on?" I was like, "I definitely did not download an add-on that was that." And he was like,
Yeah.
"Oh."
Some settings stay on your or they're like account bound.
Yep.
So no matter where you log
Right.
in, they stay the same. That's something to think about. That'd be kind of
Mhm.
frustrating.
But it's like it actually is good because in this day and age, you don't need chat to be the font to be as big as it is, and it actually allows me to see so much more of chat in my
sure.
boxes. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so
Sounds
definitely check it
worthwhile.
out. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna get out of here. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at WC Reloaded. You can follow the Mash Those Buttons Network at the Mash Network. If you want to send us an email, do so by sending it to WCRpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to join our Discord, the Mash Discord with all the Mash hosts, that's mash.gg/Discord. How can you up the podcast? I say it mostly every week, but tell your friends about it. That's how Hamster Wheel found us. Telling your friends about it, even if they don't listen to podcasts, they might check it out and they might find out that they like other podcasts too, because podcasts are cool. And then you could also help us out with ratings and reviews. They help out so much. They warm our hearts. They give us some fun things to talk about at the start of every episode. Like, honestly, we do have a lot of banter at the different, points of view. And it's definitely a way to get your point of view on the show. So as long as it's not hateful to anybody, we're going to read it. And we've even read bad ones too. And sometimes, luckily, got them changed. But we appreciate the feedback and encourage you to keep doing that. You can do that on Apple Podcasts or warcraftradio.com/directory. All right, Ryan, where can we find you?
Hi, you can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/cognitivepit, or on Twitter @cognitivepit.
And Mel, where can we find you?
Oh my gosh. Sorry. Like a bug just flew like right at me when you asked me that. You can find me on Twitter at MillOverwatch or on in-game on Whitemane at Melarina or Arielina.
I always love how awkward you are with the socials.
Yeah, because I don't have anything to say, and if you catch me on Twitter, please ping me.
And you can find me on Twitter at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. Or sometimes on Twitch at twitch.tv/BlazinBob. It's a good episode, guys. Let's get out of here.
Get up. Get up.
Bye.
You know it's good if I'm here not playing Diablo 2. Bye.
Bye, guys. All right, stream. We're just going to shut it down. I don't think we're going to raid anybody. Or here, no. We'll raid Tyrannosaur.
64.
Tell him we said hi.
And then tell him we said bye.
Bye.
Yeah,